And we're live! Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm your host, Maddie Allen, with co-host, the validator himself, David Feeder, and our special guest tonight, Hodpril. Welcome.
Hey guys!
How's it going? Good to see you.
Thanks. I'm hexing it up today.
Yeah.
Excellent. Every day, right? Hell yeah. Looking good.
Every day. I bought stuff from HEX merch. Look at all this. I got a freaking skirt. I have HEX stuff all over the place. This hat. Never had a trucker hat in my life. Now I have HEX on it. Reppin'.
That's awesome.
I love wearing HEX merch. It's so awesome.
And I just want to apologize in advance. The data center's under construction tonight. So I'm sorry about that, everybody. We're building new validators right now.
Keep up the good work.
Now that's actually a thing, right?
Huh? Oh, yeah. What do you mean? Yeah, it's a thing.
I mean, wasn't there like an update from Richard this past week about something to do with validators?
So that isn't public yet, though. Sadly not. It's they're working on it behind the scenes. That's the private test net. That's being worked on. Not okay. The public one. That one's staying as it is right now. So sorry. I wish there was.
And well, we heard the blender sound, so you can't hide that.
Yep. Got the construction team going. Oh yeah.
Well, that sounds great. Like the reason I was so excited for this episode that we're doing tonight is because it's pretty much just kind of anything goes where we can just have an open discussion. I don't have any specific topic planned, but I know that the three of us were all we have a lot of knowledge from our time in the crypto space. I mean, if we wanted to just run around the room real quick and just say how long we've been in crypto. So I've been in since June of 2017, and obviously study crypto like crazy all day, every day now. David, what's your experience?
I don't remember the exact year, but my kids were like babies, and so it's got to be like 10 years ago when they were like infants. I remember. So it must have been 2012, 2013. That's when I first heard about Bitcoin. Now I was like Richard. I started mining at home, and then like the mining pool I was on got hacked, and I lost all my Bitcoin, which was like nothing anyway. Like I didn't have a lot anyway. It was like, and it was worth like nothing back then. So I was literally wasting electricity. So it didn't work out so good. But I mean, yeah, that was a long time ago now. Yeah. But what about you, Hodpril? When did you first hear about crypto at all?
I did the same thing. 2013 is earlier 2013, but I mined starting like November or something. I mined later, and yeah, it's right. It was profitable, but you needed quite a big miner. Like I put thousands of dollars into a miner, a huge one, and the electricity cost is no joke. It was, God, what was it like? I forgot how many hundred a month, but it was quite a bit of electricity, and it got to a point mining for like a year maybe where it just broke even, and it wasn't technically worth it compared to how high Bitcoin was going, right? Because then it shot up eventually, and kind of knew it would, but yeah, same sort of deal, same sort of at-home little mining thing. I didn't get hacked. I'm sorry you did. Happened to a lot of people, and it will continue to happen to a lot of people if they stay in centralized exchanges, especially. But even if not, you always have to you have to be aware of that fact that could happen to anybody, no matter how smart you are. It's part of crypto.
Yep, and the centralized mining pools, even, yeah, because if you don't have enough to withdraw. Like all you're working for and you're working, if you don't hit that minimum payout and then they get hacked, like, yeah, you could lose whatever you got on there.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Oh no. Well, here you are now. Everything's okay. Now you're
right now
in the universe.
I think we all found something better, and now we mine HEX using HEX, don't we? We don't have any hardware or electricity.
Yeah, you don't see any Bitcoin gear on this girl right now. All you see are hexagons. In the background. So yeah, no, I'm on HEX now. Well, mostly in HEX.
I'm like, I'm more bullish on HEX than normal right now. I've been like dollar cost averaging out of some airdrop stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's a nickel per HEX. I think the future is bright in terms of onboarding, in terms of all of us promoting HEX, the documentary, Richard Hart. There's a lot of stuff coming together here, it seems.
I can't wait. I don't know. It's not that people don't talk about the documentary, but I talk about it all the time because that's coming maybe January. I hate putting dates on anything, but that's going to be crazy. That's literally going to tell people what this is. And everything below that is pre-viral in terms of it being, famous, right? It's famous in our circles, and we have the best community in crypto, no doubt about it. Go on Twitter. We're the funniest, weirdest, most passionate, help each other out, group. So, when everybody else finds out about it, it's going to be insane. And PulseChain, that it's crazy. I'm looking at Staker app right now. Let's see.
Oh yeah. Yeah, very exciting.
That's bullish.
I think that it was publicly stated that the documentary crew is they've finished the doing the edits that they need to do, and as of this week, it seems like they have entered the next phase, selling it to Netflix and or any of the other 4 major streaming platforms that compete in that market. And what you're looking for, again, I'm just even if I had any kind of knowledge about certain things, I'm very I take great care to make sure that I might speculate on some things, but I'm not, I can't speak for anybody else. So basically how I imagine the process working is you don't just want to get a bunch of money for the film. You want a bunch of money and you want to get featured on the front page and that sort of thing. And I think if they're paying more money, then they are going to feature you on the front page. So there is that sort of thing. But yeah, I imagine that the target is by the end of this year.
Oh, is it? I thought it was next year. Woo-hoo.
So
yeah, why wouldn't it be? It's
done. I studied their website, thehighestofstakes.com, because I saw that they updated their sizzle reel, and so I since they don't have a YouTube page, I just went ahead and threw it on my YouTube. Have you guys seen that?
No,
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw one. I don't know if I've seen the most recent one.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar to the one that they had before, but they've added maybe a handful of scenes that show that there are more characters. They're showing the faces of more characters now in that sizzle reel that's public.
Really?
And so, for example, who do we see there? None other than our friend Clay Collins. Looks like he made it into the sizzle reel.
And just for the audience, so the audience knows, Clay Collins is the founder of nomics.com, the coin pricing website.
And, Clay is somebody that I always tended to like way more than the rest of the community liked him, because he was taking a controversial stance on which coins to count towards the market cap of HEX as it's listed on Nomics. And we've had great debates on this channel before about why it should be so simple. You just calculate the number of tokens on Etherscan times the last traded price. But at the end of the day, I think that I'm really glad that I spent a couple hours with Clay, kind of mitigating some of the damage that the community because like he was like scared of the community. I think you could say. But I don't think that that's where it got left. And so I think that
Good.
Together we all just like kind of, we have our different takes, but at the end of the day, I tried to reach out and have some common ground, because he's a Hexican. He owns and stakes Hex.
Right on, yeah. And he's in the documentary now.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how the documentary portrays him, because I think he's a Furu gatekeeper. You know, he doesn't discount Satoshi's coins from Bitcoin, but he does it to Hex. Oh, cool, bro. Sounds like editing to me. Okay.
So, I mean, to represent the other side, which I tend to agree with David on a lot of things. I think that, like at the end of the day, crypto is a social consensus thing. And, it's like, it's the humans that give it value, and like, it's the humans that decide the rules of like whether Joey coin or Maddie coin is like allowed to be worth $100 billion if like I've only wash traded it to myself. And so like, if we look at the history of like what gets listed anywhere on any website, I mean, like, you're not allowed to list things that are illegal, in some part, a lot of parts of the internet. You can get in trouble for posting inappropriate things. So there's always, on our channels, on each of our channels, we like, we get to choose what we talk about and what we don't talk about, kind of. And it's like, we have this, so we are editorializing, but at the same time, like, we're trying to be inclusive. We're trying to be intellectually honest. And so I see a difference between that and when people's incentives are just aligned in such a way where you're representing yourself as an unbiased source. Like CoinMarketCap is like, they're representing themselves as a fair and trusted site, and people are making investment decisions on the Binance platform. So like, it's not a separate, business entity, even if they are split up into different shell corporations. Like, the owner of CoinMarketCap is the owner of Binance, which is an exchange that like promotes coins that are way worse for people than Hex. So like, by that standard, I think that, gatekeeping, the way that they gatekeep is that they say the top 200 coins on CoinMarketCap have to meet special criteria. So it doesn't matter what your market cap is calculated. And they also say that for the top 2,000, I think, or 5,000 coins, like, you could be stuck not at just at 201, but you could be stuck at like 5,001 if you don't meet a certain list of criteria that are meant to stop scams. But when you change the incentives of the whole thing and you make it so that Binance is there to profit off of the coins that they're listing higher than Hex, that have a lower market cap than Hex, and have a worse outcome for people than Hex, then that's where I see the huge difference between Nomics, which is saying like, we have a rule against project controlled coins, like Joey coin counts as, you wash trade with yourself, and that's an extreme example. But then there are examples in the middle, like staked coins that are burnt. Should those be counted? Founder coins, should those be counted? What would the founder coins have to do in order to be counted as circulating? But it's more than just like the definition of circulating. I think it comes down to like, what are all the things we know about those coins that help us detect when somebody's trying to game the system? And if you think about it, like, Hex was designed to game the system. Like, by that, I mean, we know that some of the design decisions of the code were made in order to give Hex a higher market cap. It's been, confirmed by the founder, and so, publicly. So, I think Clay just kind of got stuck on the side of, I mean, when everybody else was saying that Hex was a scam, he still let us be in the top 10. He just decided that that we were kind of in this gray zone, and that he wanted to take a more conservative approach, which from my perspective is like, well, now we can go up higher on the list, and now we can, like, I think that he might still be too generous to the market cap, actually. Like if the OA controls so many of the coins, and we say that the OA is never going to sell, then those coins aren't really don't really go into the calculate. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't have coins that you assume are never going to sell, but also have that count as like the market cap, unless you're Bitcoin, which is David's point.
Well, I mean, I think you kind of proved the point, like there's coin market cap, which is fully censored and completely rigged. And then there's nomics, which is slightly rigged and mildly manipulated. And then there's Ether
right now.
There's Etherscan, and then there's Dex Screener that actually show you the true totals of everything. And you can go to the blockchain and look at how many coins exist. Because like the OA could sell, those coins could move, whereas Satoshi's can't because he's dead. So, there's just certain levels of fraud, in my opinion. You got to go to the source now. That's all. So, like, so what do you think, Hodpril? Yeah. Like, what's your take on the whole coin ranking sites?
Oh God, I mean, the do your own research advice that we give everybody, and I've heard that more from the HEX community than I've heard in other communities. It helps not just with the token that you hold, but how you analyze things like market cap, things like what the price is going to do, how much is in circulation, why, even where people own it, where they live, right? The majority of where they live, stuff like that. Like you were saying, with Clay and Nomics, he takes a lot of different things into consideration, and there isn't really necessarily an ulterior motive, like, coin market cap and finance and everything behind it. But even with the way systems are set up, people are welcome to set up their system however they please. But as a user, you have to know what you're getting into. You have to know what you're buying, and you have to know the background of these ranking sites is huge. That's a big part of do your own research. Why is HEX number 13 on Nomics? Why is Ethereum number 2? Why is and sometimes they're pretty self-explanatory, and sometimes not. Sometimes you have to look at how many tokens exist or are in circulation, and the rules pertaining to them, if they're stakeable, things like that. So you have to, as an investor, that's your job.
I like
what
that.
do I think about it? Depends on the token, I guess. I mean, I'm in HEX. I like that Nomics gives HEX a fair shot, as far as coin ranking sites go.
I think that analysis is great. I'm glad that we all have a slightly different take on it. And, I think that probably like the best advice I've ever discovered about doing the best job I can as a broadcaster and not like a furu is two things. Like, one, I've said before, is like cross promote. That's it's really great, and that's kind of something that I learned from Hexologist and Discourse Syndicate. Something I had to learn kind of on my own is try to play nicely with others even when it's not easy. And that's one where it's like there's always going to be conflict, and the bigger communities grow, the more that they like splinter into subgroups. And there are people that think tradable stakes are the greatest thing ever. There are people think that it's not the greatest thing ever. And to take one example, and then with these other kind of like platforms and communities and just people who are kind of public figures in the space, that's that's my primary goal, other than the fact that just like, I think it's a fascinating topic. So I see like Hex Monkey isn't psyched that we're like rehashing this, but I think that just from that frame of like, what can we do to like get more people on our side, you know, and like maybe change their minds in a way, or like kind of at least understand, like Hodpril said, like what, you know, that they might not have the worst intentions at hand. I don't know.
I have a theory on how you could deal with that a little bit. Use a
Sure.
sense of humor. Like instead of just being nasty to people, it's easy on like on Twitter, for example, right? It's easy to be like, you suck, you're a piece of garbage, you're a liar, and you're a fraud. Click. Like, okay, well, no, if that continually is visible to people that are relatively new to a space, like, okay, those are people are cultish, right? Because they're so angry and you know, and I'm not saying Hexicans are like this, but I'm saying as an example, instead you can lightly make fun of people. But just still make it lighthearted to where you're not really going for the jugular every single time. And there's a time and a space for everything, but to try to make it, you know, inclusive enough to where if you want someone on your side, you don't want them to hate your guts forever, because even though you feel like you won an argument or a fight, nobody wins, because we have a crypto, right? We want people on board. We want people to hold. We want not just to make money either. We want people to have the values of holding, of patience, everything that this stands for. So err on the side of being nice and or funny is the way I see it. Like might be able to get people that way.
I mean, another point to add to my own like counter argument would be that, like, I also think that we don't have to compromise in order to onboard new people. And so maybe that kind of speaks to David's position, is like, you know, we don't have to water down our message if we don't want to, you know, like it's each of us, you know, it's our own like decisions about how we're going to represent the brand. This is a DeFi movement. And so I really appreciate like the people in the community who are willing to like have these type of discussions and just kind of, you know, people I can learn from and kind of figure out where I stand and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, I mean, because we're just like Bitcoiners back in the day, right? Like it's, you know, this is like a decentralized DeFi movement. You know, Hex just happens to be one finished product in that ecosphere. And then once PulseChain comes, then there's going to be so many more communities that there will be a lot of cross pollination, right? Because there will be some good projects. You know, there will be some bad ones. There will be good. It's kind of like the birth of Ethereum all over. So, you know, it's very Wild Westy. So, you know, so we'll see. You know, over time things are going to evolve, and you know, but I think overall people in the PulseChain ecosystem, once PulseChain is out, or even just by hearing Richard now talking about it, I think they will naturally become more and more Hex users over time once they realize what it can do. You know, even just for the simple fact if they want to get more Pulse, well, all you have to do is stake Hex, wait, sell your Hex for Pulse, and then you got more Pulse. Like it's, you know, so I think it's just in time it'll snowball up, like the onboarding.
I have a theory. So this goes to the title of the thumbnail, right? I always try to like be truthful in the thumbnail. If like there's something cool, try to throw it in there. So I have a theory about why the price of Hex went down, other than just the macro environment. And I want to see what you guys think of it, because it's like I said, it's got me pretty bullish. So I went back and I studied the charts really closely. I don't know why. I just like I've run out of things to like think about in Hex, to where I just, and like the guest that we had a couple weeks ago, you know, we have more access to the blockchain data than ever in Hex. And so, you know, we had Crispy Man on, and he of course, created the hexfire.io website, where you can go and you can see exactly which addresses are tied to the OA. You can see what stakes every user has in the entire system, and I think it's a much easier interface for people to navigate and to like surf and explore compared to hex.vision, which was seemed like pretty difficult to access. But so anyway, so I've made a few observations, just some of which have to do with kind of like why I think the price has been doing what it's doing, but also when it comes to what's been going on with all these Hedron wallets being created, and how that impacts like the number of stakers that we have. So anyway, to like go into the first topic, like what's going on with the price of HEX, I think that it's pretty safe to assume that Richard making the prediction of HEX will do a 10,000x in 2.5 years. If we go back and we study what actually happened, it looks almost provable, pretty much, that people put a bunch of limit orders at exactly 10,000x, because the price went, so like the all-time low price of HEX is 0.00055655. So that's the all-time low. And then the all-time high was like, the wick could never get higher than 56.5 cents or whatever it was. So that makes it pretty clear to me that, even the people who put their limit orders lower than that, they got filled. And it was, these people who put their limit orders right there, that there were enough of those people who put it at exactly 10,000x that the price really didn't have a chance of going much higher, because there was so much sell pressure there. And just one thing to like throw out there as like super advanced knowledge, remember that Steph told us once upon a time that like, if you're setting a limit order on most of these platforms, it really only allows you to set one limit order at a time, because if the bots are busy filling one limit order, sometimes it doesn't get to the other limit order that you set, like if you stack them on top of each other, basically. And so more advanced traders who are setting limit orders like that, what they want to do is they want to have a separate wallet address that they are using to set one limit order per address on a place like matcha.xyz, or I guess some people use metric.exchange. So that's kind of interesting, right?
So they would use different wallets per limit order, since it's already kind of one at a time due to the bot activity?
Yeah, that like, let's say I wanted to set a limit order for HEX back in November, and it was, I said, I didn't do this necessarily, but hypothetically speaking, somebody who is trying to catch that exact 10,000x, maybe they would want to front run all the other people doing that. So they would want to set their limit order for like 0.52 cents, or sorry, 52 cents. And so if they had a second limit order, so if they wanted to buy $1,000, or they wanted to sell $1,000 worth of HEX at 52 cents, and then they wanted to sell another $1,000 worth of HEX at 53 cents, it wouldn't necessarily fill, because limit order stuff is like not that advanced. It's like, the bots are busy trying to calculate if they can be profitable because you're not paying gas, if they can be profitable to like fill your order. And so I think just that whole situation of these automated bots not wanting to make any errors themselves in filling orders and becoming unprofitable, that I think that's part of the reason why it works that way. But it's worth mentioning, because we know that setting limit orders is like a really effective thing. It like helps with price stability and people not staying up all night watching the chart and that sort of thing.
That's really cool. I didn't even know that happened. Actually, I had no idea. Wow. All right. Thank you. Because I will change my strategy using Matcha and Metric.
Cool. Yes. I think it's very practical advice.
And to add on to Metric, you know what I just found out? You can actually do a longer limit order than using just Matcha.xyz. On Matcha,
awesome.
it's only 7 days.
Yeah.
On the Metric.exchange, you can do 14 days on a limit order.
I was literally wanting to figure that out yesterday. So
yeah,
that's awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. And yeah,
game
it's so
theory
cool.
indeed.
Yeah, it's so cool because you can see them all. It's all on the OX exchange technically.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, you can see those other orders too. They still count, but you can just go longer. So that's really cool. But I didn't know about that hitting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, normally when I fill orders, like they're spaced out. So for like me personally, I wouldn't expect one order, like 2 orders to fill in one shot, because otherwise it'd be like some crazy wick. Like, and another trick I'd add to this too is, in my experience, any limit order under $1,000, like the bots won't fill it. There's just never enough profit. So I think you got to do like at least $1,000, usually like 2. And then the robots will actually, once the price moves up or down beneath it, then they'll fill it for you.
So theoretically speaking, it should be that if the price moves far enough to cover the gas fees plus a fraction of profit, that those bots would compete to fill the order in such a way that, like, let's say I was only doing half of what you're noticing normally hits. So like, let's say it was a $500 buy order, and I was trying to buy it 4 cents, and so I think on a $500 buy, it might have to, and the gas fee's $10, it might have to drop down to like 3.9 cents to fill at 4 cents. So at the end of the day, it should be, but it might also have a setting on it to make it so that you don't eat too much slippage, because then you're like, hey, it didn't really fill at that price. But I know that the whole framing of you don't pay gas fees is like not really true. It's that your order gets filled while you're sleeping is what's true. And like the gas is just paid by bots that are pretty much authorized to run that arbitrage and pay your gas for you.
Yeah. Or the maker. Or sorry, yeah. the taker. Sorry, the taker. So if somebody comes along and says, hey, I want to buy those coins, and you're sleeping and you got your limit order, they pay the gas, and then the bot goes in and takes your coins and swaps it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Good point.
Yeah. Like on Metric.exchange, the first thing on the mobile site is gasless limit orders, any token. It's just in big letters.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Which is cool.
Right in your face.
It's kind of true because
it technically is true. Technically.
Yeah. And that's a great design. So I think that I would, like, thinking back, I'm just really impressed that like Steph shared that, because that's pretty big alpha to share just out of the blue.
There was a time when even Richard mentioned he knew about it and wouldn't say the name on his stream, like years ago. Metric.exchange. Yeah. It took some time to find that one.
Oh, did he? Oh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He mentioned like limit orders one day. Then there was like Pine.finance, and there was a bunch of other ones.
Oh,
but
yeah.
those are, I don't even know if that's still around. Everybody's using Metric or Matcha now.
We'll
it's cool stuff. It really is cool stuff.
So as I was thinking about HEX's price performance from its all-time low to its all-time high, that's when I stumbled upon this theory. So my theory is that all of us, when we heard Richard say 2.5 years, we were all thinking, all right, let me at least put one of my stakes like right before that. Raise your hand if you were thinking that. All right, cool. Yeah,
of course, absolutely.
You guys are more OG than me.
Oh, yeah, I definitely had stakes for that, for sure.
So I think that's part of what we're experiencing now. And I think that's part of what caused HEX to like go into its own bear market, whereas like previously it was showing signs of not being correlated, and just the fact that there's a lot of factors at play, but I haven't really heard people kind of describe this front running effect as part of the reason why the price has gone down. And so I think it's really pertinent to remember, because it gives me a lot of hope. And, you know, everybody can make their own decision about whether HEX is like undervalued right now, but I really think that that we're still seeing people who maybe had a surplus of coins during, you know, because let me see. Let me pull up my spreadsheet, because I do have a lot of figures to share on like exactly when we hit the 2.5 year mark, and like exactly what happened since then, all that kind of stuff.
And I'm like I'm trying to be funny here, but on a literal level, isn't the only reason the price can go down if somebody clicks the sell button, right? Isn't that the only thing that can make the price of HEX go down, literally?
So that's what I'm talking about, is the number of coins that people. So Hexicans have locked 75% of the total supply of coins for an average of 6.5 years. So if you lock the coins, you can't sell them. And so in order to hit the sell button, you have to have coins to sell. And the people who still have coins now are the ones that survived the 10,000x run up. If you had them liquid, and if you had them staked, then maybe your stake ended, right? Because in the beginning, remember, the average was like 4 or 5 years. So we started to hit those early adopters, half of them having half their coins come out, basically, because that used to be the average. In the beginning, the average was, 4 years or 4.5. But so that's really relevant, because we're already halfway through that time. And so there's half of those people who were in at the beginning who got the lowest prices, might have gotten shaken out, if they're liquid, because so when you do all these 80% dips, like 5 of them, and you throw in a 95% dip, and then you do all these rips upwards, like people get shaken out, whether they sell because the price went down or they sell because the price went up. People start selling on like a double, let alone all the doubles we had.
And there are a lot of emergency end stakes being paid out during some of these dips too. You start seeing, it's an average of 6.12. It used to be about an average of 5.8. That's quite a bit. That's quite a bit when the HEX is eventually going to $1. You know what I mean? And beyond.
That's a good point.
I mean, I try to explain this to people when I'm in HEX, that I don't mind the price going down. Like there are a few reasons why I don't mind the price going down on HEX, but that's one of them. Is you stand to make quite a bit as just a staked patient person getting paid out during these bear markets.
People who are holding liquid coins, they're constantly having to make the decision, like, will I sell or will I hold? When they hold, they're diluting themselves. And when they sell, then they can't sell anymore. If they've sold all their coins, then they're out, right? And they have to buy back in either higher or lower. So I think that's what we've really seen, is that the people who survived the 10,000x, many of them are staked, and some of them maybe still have liquid funds left over that people have been rolling ever since. We know that 3 billion coins keep rolling to do short-term stakes, and those, like could tip either way of like selling more or selling less. But at the end of the day, my point is that people will eventually run out of coins, especially when the price goes down a lot. They have to sell more coins in order to extract the same value in dollars. And so we're seeing the other side of the reflexive system. So like when the price goes up, it causes more people to come in and buy. When the price goes down, it causes more people to go sell, and which makes the price go down, which makes more people sell until you hit the bottom, right? And you don't always know where the bottom is, but in HEX, we have this extra bit of data that shows us the chart of future market supply. And so, you know, what I'm seeing on the chart, just looking zoomed out all the way, is like, as that, you know, average stake length continues to increase, as the number of stakers continues to increase, those are metrics that is like eventually going to pull the system back in the, we're going to snap into the opposite direction of price goes up, more people come in, price goes up, more people come in, you know, and it's going to continue to go through these boom and bust cycles.
And stakers get paid out both ways. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I try to explain, like during the bear, when you get the payout, when people get shaken out, right? It's like being paid in empty chests that fill with gold when the price of each HEX goes up. When the bull market happens again and people actually end up putting more money into HEX, right? Therefore raising the price. But you get more HEX, you have more HEX from when people bailed in emergency unstaked. And you can see that it happens. You can go on a, you know, just apphex.win charts, look at the daily payouts, look at, you know, kind of what happens. And it's pretty obvious that that's the case to HEX stakers. But a lot of people that are brand new, there are a lot of people that aren't staked in HEX. They'd have no idea how you could really game the system just being patient. That's all you got to do. Just wait. Don't sell them. Don't emergency unstake. It's so good.
Yeah. Some people can't handle the gains. Like Maddie said, when they see a 2x, like compared to financial, if you're waiting in the stock market, yeah, that could be years for some people. So when they see a double, they think it's amazing. But the trick is in crypto, hold long term and enjoy the rocket ship ride. You know, like you're going way higher than that, but you got to hold on tight. It's hard.
I thought that HEX, I had mistaken thoughts, I guess. I thought that HEX dropping also had to do with, and that's a good point, Maddie, what you're saying about the amount of, what was I? Yeah,
like the reflexivity or the 2.5 years.
Yeah, the reflexivity of it, mostly. But I also thought that PulseChain was going to launch. I thought that some people were because they thought it was going to launch, partially due to Richard's May being on the date that I thought, because, you know, it's actually quite beneficial to launch at the very end of a bear market because, you know, your token, I guess this would be PHEX in this case, would be a brand new token, and Pulse. But PHEX would go from very low to very high. So from, if it hits 1 cent, you know, if HEX hit what, 2 cents, would it hit 3 cents or something recently? But like if it did if it split, essentially making EHEX and PHEX 1 cent each, right? If they were to hit parity, that looks a lot better, that chart climbing, than an initial 5 or 10 cent PHEX, right? Climbing. You already took off a 10x, and you know, you want people to invest in your token. An automatic 10x looks great. So I thought it was indicative of a PulseChain launch, and I was mistaken. I thought that was part of it. I thought some of the whales were really like, oh man, they know what they're doing. They're dropping the price of HEX. And I'll be kind of honest, HEX kind of going up before PulseChain launch. I don't ever want to be down on it going up in price, but part of me was like, oh man, I kind of hope it's lower when it launches, so that initial so that chart ends up looking fantastic within the month rather than almost fantastic or less good. You know what I mean? That at extra 10x, I want it to be low when it launches, but I hate saying that because I don't want people to have their HEX to be worth less. But over time, the game theory of it launching at the end of a bear market, it's actually quite beneficial, or I think it would be.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what I thought it was.
And you just made me think too. I didn't even really realize this till like right now. Think about it. Like PHEX is going to have its own completely different chart, right?
Yeah,
This could be
that's what.
brand new, born. It could start at any price. It
mm,
could go. Who knows?
I don't think it's going to have a new chart, because if you look at like Ethereum, like it goes back before like it split from Ethereum Classic. So like it's
Oh,
a fork, and Bitcoin goes back before the forks. So like forks don't create new charts, but
okay.
with these other, but like it depends who you ask. Like it's a consensus thing in the end. In the end, a crypto is, you know, a consensus thing, and so yeah, I think it's going to be now the points that you guys are making. I mean, this hasn't been discussed yet, so I think we're going to see it both ways, and it'll be really curious to see if other, you know, like information sources outside of our own, you know, community, are they going to follow our naming procedures, or are they going to follow their own? And are they going to eventually capitulate the naming, you know, things, or are other communities going to advocate to those groups and we don't even have to do anything because, you know, it's up to them which coin's the real one? I mean, there's going to be lots of
you mean make
you know,
PulseChain the default?
zesty. No, I mean like so let's take like SHIB, like the way Richard is naming it. He's saying that on PulseChain, that ticker should be SHIB, and then on Ethereum it should get renamed eSHIB.
Oh, yep.
That's the right way to like frame it, and then, but most people are not going to go along with it at first. And so if we're talking about charts, like we don't know how the charts are going to look. I think we'll see it both ways, which you guys brought to my attention for the first time. But I also think we don't even know what the naming conventions are going to be.
Well,
I think I know.
Well, I think right. Yeah, go ahead, Hodpril.
Oh no, it's just he's gonna push the E stuff and then P stuff is the default. It's
Yeah, well,
why not?
it should actually crisscross, right? Like if you're on PulseX on PulseChain and you want to buy US dollar coins, you're probably going to want the EUSDC. But then if you were on Uniswap on Ethereum and somebody bridged in the actual PulseChain ERC20 copy, that would be called PUSDC. And that like won't be worth $1, right? So on Uniswap, they should start with anything from PulseChain will have a little P, and then on PulseChain, anything from Ethereum will have a little E. And
yeah, it'll depend on the platform, right? Probably.
Yeah. Because the little
so.
letter is the prefix of the chain, right? If it came from Matic, it would have like a little M. So I think that'll probably be a standard amongst all the chains, probably.
Right.
Now
I can't wait for PulseX, man. Speaking
of, that'll be cool. Because what I wonder for PulseX is how many E coins will actually make it over and then have their own charts and start trading, because maybe a lot. Well, actually, during the fork, they're all going to get copied, but and then harvested. So I guess it doesn't matter, even if like everything's going to have a P copy, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be wild, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then will a ranking site, that's actually a good question, is will a CoinMarketCap or Anomics, will those guys even like acknowledge the PulseChain side of the coins?
Or will this DeFi movement with PulseX and Richard's cult of personality get so huge that people just go to PulseX instead, just play around, and who cares what these other sites say, which is it's actually a possibility.
PulseX is the price chart. Like you just go to that.
Well, I
site.
mean, it's just going to be such its own ecosystem of anything that you had on Ethereum and the Hexican energy. God knows, like if that's going to make a huge DeFi movement, right? Even more than we're seeing now. I have high hopes for the whole PulseX ecosystem. I'm still waiting for my PulseX shirt. But
nice.
Yeah, kind of bringing back to what Maddie was talking about a while ago, like with this DeFi movement, where's it going to go? Like I think PulseX is going to really bring it to the forefront because of the people behind it. I know that it's a fork of Uniswap, I get that. And, you know, PulseChain is also a fork of Ethereum. But if something already works, there's no use in recreating anything if something just needs to be fixed, right? And the throughput, the gas fees are fixed. I think it's going to be incredible. PulseX.
Is there a background noise there, Hodpril, like a fan or something?
I don't think
Oh,
so.
there we go. It just stopped.
Okay, cool. You know what? It's this. It might be the solar storm. You hear about the solar storm? Do you guys watch Space Weather?
I usually do, but I didn't know there was one going on right now.
I don't want to change the subject or anything, but we're being pelted by a lot of solar radiation right now. That actually, I was looking at my looking through my telescope yesterday, and there was actually a lot of noise, and it was due to the radiation of the solar storm. So that could actually cause some background noise, especially if you're in the Atlantic area. Anyway, solar storm.
Yeah, good to know.
They happen. It's no joke. It's true. I've always wanted to see the Aurora Borealis, though. I haven't seen that yet.
You can see it now quite a bit.
I bet it's up in up north. I bet it's
in Montana.
Going real good. Yeah, that's cool.
I saw it once. It was really cool.
Oh, it's awesome, man. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's up in Canada. So, yeah, I think that we all thought that the PulseChain and PulseX would launch by now. You know, if we go back to this theory about like how has the price been doing up until now, and like, you know, what are the factors been other than the macro, other than the rest of crypto? I think that so we know that the all-time high probably couldn't have been right around the 2.5-year mark because so many people would front run it, and because so many people would be like thinking that. And so if, you know, HEX sufficiently went up high enough in the early days, which it did, then people would sell, and then there would be less people left who were these like true believers that thought that there would be a 10,000x, like maybe a little bit earlier than 2.5 years. And so what we see is that it was actually, so the all-time low is on day 33. That was on January 4th, 2020. The all-time high was on day 655, which was on September 17th, 2021. So if my calculation is correct, so it was 258 days from the all-time high to the 2.5-year mark. And that feels about right. That's like the people who were front running, you know, they took about 2/3 of a year. You know, they kind of set their sights on, and there were fewer coins available for people to sell, we would assume, or like that's what happened, is less people sold their coins to make the price go up that much at the day 655. So I think that that's the first major bubble that we saw due to a supply shortage of HEX that was caused by mad gains, mad dips, and time locking, like the perfect recipe in order to like leave, you know, just the straggler coins there to like, you know, go up in value super fast, and then, you know, the value comes back to the moving average kind of. And so, so I predict that will happen more times throughout the HEX history going into the future, because we already know that a huge portion of the coins are locked in, like, for example, at the 10-year mark, you know, from the beginning or from the first year, like there's a lot of coins there. So kind of, and it's yet to be seen like how it's going to play out. If people's coins get unlocked, of course, they can still rebuy their TShares, but some will and some won't. And eventually we'll be able to track those wallets better and kind of understand, like, to put people into profiles and understand even more about the future market supply, because we'll be taking into account like individual accounts behavior over time. So
people do in the community. There are
Yes.
blockchain analysts that are 24/7 looking at this sort of thing. You can kind of see, I like the HEX win/charts, little visuals where where the stakes end. It's a very simple, easy tool that I'm surprised more people don't use. Or, oh, we have a ton of stakes ending very soon, so that might affect the price. Nobody has looked at it. Like, you need to look at this. This is part of if you're going to be trading your HEX. If you're just staked and you're waiting. So, but if you're putting in limit orders or trying to buy it when it's lower and everything, or trying to make an estimation for somebody else on the price of it, yeah, the when the stake ends does make a big difference, right? Not everybody does restake. A lot of them don't, and you could see like Hexastani's ripped bots when someone restakes. We're like, yeah, oh, that guy's a baller, he knows what he's doing. They don't always. They'll take their winning, and you should be able to take your profit. I've never been mad at anybody taking the profits that they're early hexagons or anything. Oh, dumping the price, whatever. Take your profit. That's fine. You earned it. But man, I love when they restake. But yeah,
Totally.
a lot of them tend to end on holidays, right? They end normal, if they make it 1 year,
Oh yeah.
Christmas time.
Yeah, December is a very popular month on the staking chart. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a big one every year. Yep. And I also love apphex.win/charts because even if you're on Etherscan and you look at a wallet, sometimes they won't have any hex. But if you copy their address and paste it in there, it shows you their hex stakes, and you can show that, hey, they are a real hexagon. They have TShares. They don't have any liquid hex, and then you can see their stakes. So
you can see that they stake, but you don't really have a visual of what that looks like, right, or whatnot. It's kind of hard to use Etherscan too. It's as funny as that sounds. Like it's not hard once you know how to use it, but initially when you hit it, it's just, well, I guess I have to look for hex. I have to look for when, what does this address mean? Oh, this means they staked the null, whatever. It's actually burned, right?
Yep.
And that's what that means. Whereas you look at, some native hexagons, there are a few of them too. Like, oh, wait, this makes it easier to see. But it's one of those things where even our stream right now, our game theory stream, and I was streaming with Claz. We were talking about some stuff too. It's like, well, if you say something to a stream, are you changing the hex world too by letting out the game theories? Into you're putting it in the stream. You're Schrodinger's catting it. Like talking about liquidity pools and what you should do, and what do you think is going to happen? Where do you see hex at this point? Like, well, if my answer influences somebody, I don't know. It's kind of a.
Well, it does. It definitely influences. I think you want it to influence in a good way, because like
it's not financial advice.
Yeah, because even I have an example. Like for the other day when ICOSA just launched, and like I was on the stream with those guys, just kind of celebrating, and I gave people the alpha to use Matcha and use Metric and go set limit orders and use it and mark it up high and mark it down low and make sure put some orders out there. By the time I looked, when ICOSA was like 30 minutes old, it was already orders all over the place. They were like at $1 and beyond and down, and it was. So I think so. If you put it out there, people will take your advice sometimes.
I still can't believe you did that, and you've done it more than one time, and I applaud you every time you do it, David. That's very unusual for somebody to give up a strategy that can make you thousands of dollars and poof, it's gone because you were being transparent about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I want to help like Richard, I guess, and I've made enough. I don't need to rip people off on limit orders, so it's the right thing to do.
And when people know how to set limit orders, it creates competition to create supply on the chart to where people are going to get more coins because of you telling people about that. The person who's buying, who is accidentally paying $5 per hex, like they're not going to have to pay $5 per hex. They're only going to pay $1 per hex or 50 cents per hex when something goes wrong. because there are more people competing to offer the price that's the closest to the real thing. So good job saving people.
My pleasure, man. You got to fill those limit order books. We got to get those limits in.
So you know, I'm really excited about HEX just continuing to do its thing. As Hex Monkey said here, you know, all the catalysts of, you know, the bear market ending eventually. I mean, I think we could still go down a lot. So I'm not like saying that the pain is over yet, but I think
there are a lot of HEX stakes ending pretty soon here. So you may be right.
Like, tell me more about that.
All right, let me go on. Hang on.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is the front end that Future Us and I made, go.tshare.app, originally had the functionality built in where you could see a chart of expiring stakes as you're creating a stake. And so it allows you to tweak it. That feature got, it basically like crashed because of how much data there was to load in. And so we, so there are other ways to find it. Okay.
We're right at the big one, guys. Those are expiring stakes.
And now how many billions of HEX is that?
Oh, jeez.
So the update, just to finish out that idea, like Future Us said, you know, no expectations, but it could get fixed at some point. So that'd be cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's really cool that it shows that what else is staked that day.
It did it for a while and it was really cool, and then it broke. But yeah, it's just it's possible with HEX, and it's not possible with other cryptos.
Yeah, that's a nice little quality of life feature. That's very cool. I can see on the staking chart here right now, like September 1st, in 2 weeks, there's 1.1 billion HEX coming out.
Now,
so,
Crispy warned us that could be misinterpreted if it's more than the 3 billion that's always been that keeps rolling, then you could always say that there's a big, you know, stake coming out. Hodpril, have you drilled down into that specific, you know, those specific stakes to see if those are stakes that have been rolling as normal, or if it's a very early stake that is finally coming
I think
out?
that most of them are rolling, right?
Okay.
So I'm not like actually freaking out. You know what I mean? But it is something to look at. Like, maybe not all of them are. I think the majority probably are.
Okay.
From my research, but I could be wrong.
Because Crispy was almost kind of saying, like, he was almost implying, or maybe I was reading between the lines, that like a lot of people in that trading chat, they want to FUD people out, and they want you to sell your coins so they can buy them lower. And really,
well, then don't sell.
It gets hyped up that there's always going to be, oh, there's so many billions coming, and it's the same 3 billion just rolling, and it's like, well, if they keep rolling, they're not really selling. And if they sell,
the trick is to not sell and just keep your stakes. Then, if you think it's all FUD, don't have to listen to it. You end up getting paid out for it. For people that buy into it, don't buy into it. You know, keep your HEX, keep it staked. You know, it's up to you. Got to do your own research.
Absolutely.
Other people can help though. There are a lot of smart people in this community. They'll give you a heads up on what's happening sometimes, you know. So,
and I don't want to discredit the HEX trading chat either, because they know what's up. So
yeah, they're there all the time.
Yeah, that's where you go when you want to know what's happening, with a grain of salt in there, that like, you got to remember, these are traders. Like, HEX was designed to stop trading.
Yeah. It's a rough part of town. Let's put it that way. When you go into that Telegram room, it's like, yeah, you're at the trader desk. It's a little. You're in the pit. you know.
But you get to learn about the system, how it works, how chain analysis works, how people psychologically work. So you get more of a background, even if you hold, because I hold. I don't really sell. I just hold. So technically, this information doesn't matter to me in some ways, like right now. But it does, because I know what system I'm dealing with, and when I'm onboarding people, if they have more of, they're coming from more of the trading mentality, which most of them are, you have to make it sound. You have to give them the good parts of why HEX is good, even to trade. Uh, looking at these patterns is important even for onboarding people if you don't trade, and understanding what crypto you're dealing with. So it's all good. It's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, that is true for people who do have the skill to trade and the knowledge and are successful. Crypto in general has the best volatility around. You get the highest highs and the lowest lows. And if you're a pro trader, that makes money all day. So
I used to trade more too.
Yeah, like if you're into that stuff for making money and you're sharp at it, like, so, and for people who can't, which are the majority, and most people shouldn't, you shouldn't try trading. That's where the staking comes in, and you just get the coins, hold it, stake it, get more coins, stake it. Like I love it, because we used to mine back in the day. I used to mine back in the day.
We probably did the exact same things on the same sites, probably.
Yeah. So and now being here at HEX, it just makes sense, because this is like the perfect staking coin. Like you just lock it up to whenever you want, and then you just wait and you get more coins. It's so easy. Like anybody can do it.
Have you noticed that trading's kind of a personality type, though? You have to have a certain amount of like up at all hours, obsession, sort of you have to have. Maddie would know more about this as a psychologist, but whatever serotonin or dopamine hits you get looking at a chart and seeing it go up, like, it's there's some people that fare better doing that sort of thing all day than others. It's a lot of work mentally.
Yeah, it takes, I think the way that some people do it, certainly one of the guests that we had on a number of weeks ago is Dan the Shark. And he described in great detail, his routine of like setting aside multiple days, like 3 days, and he only does this a handful of times a year, but he's like not sleeping. He's, living, eating, and breathing, the chart the entire time. And, these are things that he's very like, it's almost, like he kind of goes into trader mode, and, that's his entire world for that period of time. And so,
being politically savvy too. You have to know what's going on in China, Russia, all the people that, Kazakhstan, the people that, because HEX is sort of just decorrelated to Bitcoin, but all crypto is relatively correlated. So when there's a political happening anywhere, that could affect crypto. So you have to do that too. In a way, you have to kind of broaden, kind of like Professor X, right? You got to get your Cerebro on, and then you have to have Cheetos. You can't really do anything else. You can't sleep to look charts.
Yeah. And you're right. The other markets, pull on the crypto market, and what happens around the globe is all related. And I do think that, the bear market's not really over yet. Like, this is just a relief rally, and then come late September and probably November and October, and we'll see how long it lasts. But the true bottom in most markets isn't in yet. This is that 50% pump you get before them, and then after this, we're going down, and then we'll find the bottom. So we're not there yet, but it's coming. Yeah.
I want to believe we're going lower. Just, I don't know why. I just think it's healthier to, get it out of the way. And
it is.
I don't know. Like,
I have my reasons why.
Well, yeah, we all want PulseChain to launch at the bottom. We want Richard's call to be right. The only counter argument I could see is that the amount of monetary expansion that's happened since the last cycle, the amount of inflation that's occurred, maybe isn't fully taken into account when it comes to the reasoning that Richard used for that call. And look, he's gotten all of his calls right, all of the cycles. So that's almost like, more important than inflation, in my opinion. But I just think that if people are tired of only hearing one, possibility of what's going to happen, I think, if enough money printing happened, that really the bottom for Bitcoin now should be, 15 or 20,000, then it could, then we could be waiting for these news events that never happen, like coins hitting the market all at once from Mt. Gox. Like I've heard some people say that they're gonna dribble them out slowly and stuff. So I don't know. Lucky that I'm not trading Bitcoin these days.
Weren't they supposed to pay out in August?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We'll see.
They've been missing, they've been missing their deadline, just like Ethereum 2.0 forever. For 5
years and years and years. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was saying also, that, kind of another macro event that I see, well, it's actually not a macro event. Another thing that like really determines how the crypto market performs, I think, is the systemic risk that got built up by the bull run with Three Arrows Capital and Celsius. And we keep learning little bits and pieces more of, shining a light into, those rabbit holes. And I particularly have been keeping my ears open to like, all right, where did the 4 billion go from Four Arrows Capital? Because they borrowed that. So people were expecting to get paid back. They borrowed a couple billion, 1.5, 2 billion from Celsius, right? Celsius got, they were borrowing from, their depositors, and then they didn't loan it all out to Three Arrows Capital, but like that was their biggest holder. But I wanted to know, like, I was thinking, we're probably going to keep hearing about collapses and about like, rug pulls, like hack, you want to call it a hack, what Machinsky did, or, what do you want to call it? You can call it whatever you want. That they lost the money trading, or, that they were running fractional reserve, or, all these different things, that they did steal the money. But I just heard on the news, and we don't know if this is related or not, but in the actual Coinbase filings, they lost $1.1 billion in a quarter.
Oh.
And that was due to trading. So and I think that they said, oh, maybe none of it was Three Arrows Capital, or maybe half of it was. I was trying to read between the lines, but that gets me up a little bit more. And then, so I'm starting to see a possible full accounting of the Three Arrows Capital, like scam. So that's another good sign that I think there can always be another black swan event. But to me, it was like, until I heard where the other 2 billion was, going to get written off the books at, then I really wasn't sure that the pain was over.
That's good research. That's doing your own research, figuring out, the story doesn't end at someone got hacked. And another thing about some of these hacks is, how are they going to sell all this Bitcoin? Are they going to sell the Bitcoin? Is there some big conspiracy, some like BlackRock craziness conspiracy, like with Luna and everything, that they're just massively trying to get to just wreck crypto right now? I don't know, it's a conspiracy, but where does it go? Where are they selling it? These are trackable. Some of these are trackable addresses. You could look at somebody's hack and actually kind of, especially if it's on anything Ethereum, you could trace what they're trying to do with the money.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the blockchain. So, I mean, they didn't tornado cash it or something.
Yeah. I've also heard of people recently now, because of what happened to Tornado Cash, that they've started to, or I mean, people have already been using it, but it's the REN BTC, kind of like wrapped Bitcoin.
WREN, right?
Yeah, or just REN
Oh, is that?
BTC. Yep.
Oh.
And basically, it's a bridge between Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if you're dirty on either side, you can just use the REN bridge. And then if you're on Ethereum and you use Tornado Cash and you're dirty, you could just trade it for real Bitcoin. And then you get that Bitcoin is clean and then sent to a wallet, and then you can deposit it.
Thanks,
So
David.
yeah, no problem. But like, there's just a million ways to do that, though. Like, there's so many different bridges and so many different protocols. Like, there's so many to choose from.
I take notes because you never know. We're going back on the Silk Road, making orders.
I think they call it Alphabet now. They got.
Oh, I'll write that down. Thanks. I know someone with the background of your green screen is going to give me all the good answers, huh, David?
Yeah. I try not to talk about the dark net. I don't go there anymore.
Sorry about that. Me either.
So let me see what else is related to all that. I guess, another topic that we haven't covered yet that a lot of people like is when we give commentary on all the appearances that Richard has been doing lately. And I know that those of you who watch this show, there's still 3,000, like the floor price on the number of viewers we have is still like 3,000 strong on this show. So, shout out to all of you, hit the like and subscribe button. But more importantly, be advised that if you've only been following Richard Hart's YouTube channel to see his content, because he's touring the United States, he doesn't have access to his YouTube. And so you're going to have to see all of his appearances on all these different channels. And so I know that there's a lot of people who they like to see all of the things that Richard says, and so can we, so what are all the appearances he's done in the past week or two? He went on the first dating thing. Do you guys remember what that one was called?
Dating thing?
Yeah.
The
it was the pickup artist guy.
Oh, he did. I didn't see that.
Did you guys miss the 3 hour? That was a good one.
Yeah.
I did miss it. I need to see it. I'm gonna watch it.
Let me see if I can pull it up here, because we need to make. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm bringing it up. Okay, so it's called Rollo Tomasi, which is hard to spell. The better way to look it up would be under the Rational Male, or the crypto red pill with Richard Hart is the name of the. I can drop the link here.
I saw the episode. I actually didn't know his name.
Okay.
I didn't know who that guy was. Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, that was 2 hours and 40 minutes, and then he did Wolf of Wall Street, which the keyword to look up there is Wolf's Den is the name of the show. Otherwise, you're going to get a bunch of stuff about the movie and not the actual real guy, Jordan Belfort. I loved that interview. That interview went super well. I think it's can't miss.
That was a good one.
And then
you could see in Jordan's eyes the moment HEX clicks and Richard's shelling it to him and kind of gets it. And he's just leaning back, half smiling. It's just yeah, you get it. He gets it. That was the moment.
Yeah, he it seemed like after a while he really started to respect Richard, because it didn't matter if he had an opposite point, Richard changed his mind immediately. They're both like so intelligent. So that was fun to see. And so then Richard did a very brief appearance in real life, in person, at the BitBoy studio.
That's right.
So that was another stream that happened, I guess, in the past week or two. And then he appeared on Fresh and Fit podcast last night with Dollar Cost Crypto and Funding Gym, which was another, it was a great episode. He also appeared like with 8 women on like the dating segment of that later that night. So that's another 2.5 hours. Lots of content.
Do you think it's because he's in the U.S. for a second that he's taking advantage of all these cool things, interview opportunities to interview?
Yes, I think that so. As I predicted when I was trying to get him here to do a like concert event, like him being in the United States, like it quashes the Eric Wall FUD that it was like he's not allowed in the U.S. Look, when Richard was like stopped by the police at Best Buy for like spending too much money, and instead of Best Buy and the police department like high-fiving him and helping him carry all the stuff to the car, they ran a check on him. How much better can you get? We know the guy doesn't have any warrants. He checks out. Case
what
closed.
was he wearing in the Best Buy? I wonder though. It's just a ton of chains and stuff that if it looks like if he went to jail, he would just have it as collateral. So like some, how that goes, right? Not collateral, but money to. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
I actually think Richard's traveling light for security purposes.
Is he? Oh.
Yeah, he didn't bring his necklace or any of his jewelry or stuff.
Yeah, that's smart.
Why would you? Yeah, and because Richard's going to Miami, he was scared last night. Richard was actually like afraid, because he grew up there in the rough part of town. So he's got like PTSD from having from living in the hood. Crazy shit does go down in the hood.
People know. Yeah, people know you have money, whether you have it on you or not. It could become a precarious situation. It's happened before with crypto people, so I don't blame them one bit for that.
Yeah. But I am very happy Richard's in the U.S. doing the tour, and I hope it continues, and I hope he gets the even better guests. Hopefully Joe Rogan is like the pinnacle, right? Like that's like the championship.
Oh, that would be so cool. That'd be a great interview too.
Yeah, and it'd be millions of eyeballs on HEX, like millions. So
I'll bet
insane.
I'll bet after the highest of stakes, he starts hitting the mainstream stuff. I think that's going to be the catalyst. What do you guys think?
Ooh, that's a good point. Especially if it gets picked up by Netflix.
I like that call.
A big one.
That's a great call.
I think so.
Yeah. Because I think that's what you need is you need a tipping point, and it's the popularity and the kind of like the social verification it's already building to that level. It's already on that trajectory, right? But in terms of adding fuel to the fire and the right kind of fuel, it's it's just he just keeps going onto bigger podcasts, and that's how you work your way up to the top. Is they have to see you on the ones that they watch. So
yeah, once he becomes like the Tiger King of crypto, then they're gonna want to, hey, so this guy's gonna have a lot of crazy audience members, and God, could you imagine their live chat full of Hexicans after he's famous, like that? After the highest of stakes, it'd be. The money aside, this is going to be the funniest thing ever. So I already want to watch it for that reason. I can't imagine this is going to be a really interesting documentary.
Yeah.
But yeah, he might hit those. I'm patient with these big people interviewing him too. I don't need them to interview him right now necessarily. How about when its hardcore starts pumping, when the PHEX is out and after the highest of stakes are out, is like, yeah, I want to see you on Joe Rogan then. I want to see you with Jordan Peterson then. I want to see you, wherever else on the internet. Michaela Peterson, all of that.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I think so.
Yeah, that could make the top of all tops, man. That like if it all lines up right, if the bull market lands with perfect marketing or a great interview or national news or who knows what, like that's when things go hyperbolic. Max, thank you for saying that. I want to see a Richard Hart Max Kaiser
I do too.
Video, because they haven't done one since like 2017 for the Bitcoin Cash fork, and I think that's like
2017? When 2017 when Bitcoin crashed hard and everyone was giving him hell. And I remember he called Bitcoin to be 25,000 and people are like, no, it's stupid, when it was $400, and he actually had to fight a lot of FUD back in the day. People don't know unless they watched. There was a show he had with his co-host was this cute blonde woman. Oh geez, I think they got married. But anyway, he's been interested in crypto for quite some time. I mean, no matter what his situation is, an interview would be hilarious between the two, I think.
Oh yeah, with Max Kaiser, and his wife Stacey Herbert,
Stacey Herbert. I'm sorry, Stacey. Yep. I did you wrong. I forgot your name. No, she's so cute.
Well, what I observed when I was at the Bitcoin conference this year is just the extreme lengths that the organizers and that the thought leaders in the Bitcoin community are going to censor people who don't promote a maximalist point of view. So I've got two perfect examples. Lynn Ulbricht, Ross Ulbricht's mother, I had brunch with her, and so I heard straight from her that they cut her talk because she had tried to raise money to get her son out of prison using an NFT. So just because the NFT was on Ethereum, I think that was wrong. I think that they should not have, I think what she's doing is pretty brave and awesome.
Absolutely.
Another example. Go ahead.
Sorry, just to tie it in with what Hodpril mentioned earlier, saying Silk Road. This is Ross Ulbricht, who was the Dread Pirate Roberts. He's been in jail for the last 10 years in federal prison, probably in solitary confinement most of the time, because he made a website where people could buy drugs online. And he wasn't even the original creator of it, but it's just really sad because things like the Silk Road.
He lived over where I live too. There's some tales about that guy. It's too bad what happened, I think.
Absolutely, because a website like that, I mean, there's going to be a dark market no matter what. So these websites just take the violence out of and the crime out of buying drugs. Really, it makes it safer for people. So for him to be treated like that is not fair in the justice system, when there are people who do things that are way worse and they get way less time. So what happened to him is not fair, and it's a shame that they didn't let her speak at the Bitcoin conference. They should have. Absolutely, that's really sad.
Instead of the talk that she always gives every year, it would be better received. They played a 10-second clip before the concerts, and it didn't even have a QR code of how to donate. Nothing. It was just it was very poorly done. So that's one example of censoring people who aren't on board with the maximalist extreme. The other example is Robert Breedlove. I've always liked him as a thought leader. Does the What Is Money podcast and has did a whole series with Michael Saylor. Many hours, was the first person to really start to popularize him. So they both came up at the same time. And Breedlove is he's super intelligent, knows all of monetary history, just really bright. And a lot of the things that the true intellectual Bitcoiners say applies to HEX. in the end, because they're talking about having a better financial, a better monetary policy, better system of self-sovereignty and, immutability and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, like Breedlove started to even consider talking about other coins, and he almost got excommunicated from Bitcoin. I think they like, I'm not exactly sure how they set him straight. I don't remember, but that's another person I saw at the Bitcoin conference who, like, he very clearly in his show, like, started down a path of altcoins and then veered right back onto like Bitcoin maximalism. So that's kind of interesting. I will throw out, I just remembered Ross Ulbricht. I saw an update today about him. He just started volunteering to mentor people who are suicidal in prison. And that's something he's been doing now that I think is really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. Robert Breedlove lols. All I know about him, 2 years ago when HEX first came out, he blocked me like immediately on Twitter for replying to one of his things, and that was it. I never saw his content ever again. So
that sucks.
Yeah, no, that's great. Spared me having to watch a Furu for the last 2 years, so I feel great.
I have a theory about a lot of old Bitcoin people that support HEX, where a lot of people initially had thought it was a scam or aren't open to the idea of it. I mean, a lot of maxi Bitcoiners aren't open to anything, NFTs or dog coins, especially anything like that, because some of them legitimately think they're all actually just scams, right? Like, this is scamming money away from Bitcoin, and there's no, there isn't anything. What am I trying to say about it? Overall, the point I'm trying to make, though, is anyone who is an old Bitcoiner who still has Bitcoin holds, right? You must believe in holding if you held it all this time, if you held any, or if you were in it in the beginning and you still have enough to be speaking about it and being, bullish about it. And I think that they at least appreciate that this token is made to hold and is actually built for long holding, because anyone who did it back then who's still in it has held it for years, held it for a decade, right? And what's HEX trying to do? It's trying to be made to hold for a decade, to hold for 15.2 years, right? 5 days.
Yep.
So that's why I noticed that a lot of old Bitcoin people at least have a healthy sort of respect for the way that HEX is built, because they're holders, they're hodlers. They have to be by nature. For it to be 2022 and still pumping it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a long time, and there's not too many of them.
Hodpril solar flares.
Love it.
That also reminds me that there's one I missed. So I just dropped the link to the Twitter Spaces that RH appeared on Thursday.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, he goes in this Twitter Spaces sometimes, huh?
And you can fast forward through that. Like, it's a 6-hour Spaces. He only talks for, I can't remember. It's all blurring together now, but maybe 10 minutes or less, somewhere, maybe longer. I don't know. But he has an appearance. When you fast forward, you can see when his face pops up. And he was only in the space to give a quick update and then leave.
You have to have Vince timestamp that one.
Yeah, timestamp it. And, I ended up listening to like 3 hours because I was so excited about how poorly Simon Dixon and Tone Vays were defending Bitcoin. I was like, wow. It's like, this is like entertaining. Because, like, I never really respected Tone Vays, but I still like I want to like Simon Dixon. I don't know if I should. What do you guys think of him?
Oh no, Furu. Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
bad,
All
bad.
right.
Yeah. And Tone, it was so funny. I did see the part where like he left, right? Like Richard showed up and was talking, and then like Tone like left the Twitter space and wouldn't come back until Richard was gone. Well,
Yeah.
Tone went and like live streamed on his YouTube and like basically like quit crypto, man. He was like full capitulation mode. It was
Did he?
hysterical.
No way.
Yeah, it's on his on his YouTube on Tones. Yeah, during that window. Yeah.
Hey, I love all of these people because they just make Hex look so
I
amazing
know.
in comparison.
And
So
Richard ends
what do
their
I think of
careers
them? Great.
basically. Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing, pal.
Hey, shout out to RH Max with the $55.55 super chat.
Damn. RH Max, my man. Good to
Yeah,
see
thank
ya.
you. Love this community.
Good stuff.
Rockin'.
Yeah.
Everybody make sure to subscribe to him. You can find him on YouTube.
Yes, please. He's been
Does a
nice
lot of
enough
good
to have.
stuff.
Yeah, I've been on there a couple times. We always have a good talk. So yeah, shout out to RH Max.
So
Man.
maybe like the next topic we can cover, maybe you guys could fill me in on all of the coins that are out there these days in the Hex community. We could do a round of that. Speaking of non-toxic maximalism and Hex maximalish being Hex maximalish, right?
There you go. That's a word.
And then I will, for all the people who are tuning in now, I will drop some hints at the end of this episode about the new product that I am designing for the crypto space.
Ooh.
Cool.
So
That deserves a special piece of paper.
so we'll let people stick around for that. But for now, let's cover what else is being done, because in my opinion, the reason to cover this on Game Theory Gang is because it's not to like pump side bags or something like that. The whole point is we want to understand all the experiments that are being run in our space, especially on us, all the different airdrops, sacrifices, new coins that are coming out. I mean, everybody's launching a coin right now, and there's this burst of activity that's happening in the bear market where we always knew that crypto people try to build in a bear market, and the Hex community seems busier than ever. And so just to name a few, and then you guys will be able to probably inform people better than I can. We had ICOSA launch just a day or two ago. In the past week or two, we've seen Trevon James launch a token called More that was having a different distribution method than normal. And then we also saw Conrad Zen launch his own coin, Pulse. So it's actually, the name is PLS Zen, which doesn't exactly match like the website or the ticker, but like that's okay. We'll be able to keep it all straight. And I've got some positive things to say about that one, but well, I want to hear first, like, what do you guys know about all this? Like, what are you guys into? What have you been learning about? What do you like? What do you not like?
Yeah, go ahead, Hodpril. Yeah, you go first.
I want to know more about Conrad Zen's token because I don't know that much about it. And it's simply because I've been busy with like crazy AI art weirdness hobby in the last 2 weeks. But, I did go on Twitter and see some of the tweets and some, Conrad Zen token, whatever. And I remember his tweet talking about having a project. So I would love to be illuminated on the issue of Conrad Zen's token. But ICASA is, I guess it launched, and it was funny. I think Alex originally in the chat, he was thinking about calling it Hedrum, but they didn't let him because it's like, no, you can't do that. Oh, but I mean, he made Hedrum, made ICASA. I think you know, and his projects, some of these projects are launching before PulseChain. Some of them are after. So it's kind of a different sort of, it's almost a different species of token. That it's the one that's going to be, you know, forked on the Ethereum and PulseChain, and others that are just going to be on the Pulse. There are a lot of them that are just going to be on the PulseChain, as far as I know. And I've given to a lot of these sacrifices, right? Liquid loans, you know, loan token. I went a little bit heavy on that as sacrifice, but that'll be coming out after PulseChain, but it's a loan protocol, right? So you have to wait for the volatility to go down, because it has to do with people's collateralizations. You put your Pulse in a vault, you borrow against that Pulse in your vault as collateral, you know, and you can do more research on it, but it's a loan protocol on PulseChain. Big on that. And but I sacrificed for Power City. They're going to have the Watt token, and they're actually working on a Pixel Park. I guess it's an NFT. I went on their Twitter space to talk about it. NFT tiny houses. It's pretty amazing. So they're coming up with like NFT tiny houses. It's pretty neat. They have a big ecosystem, and I think like at least 30 devs over there working on huge stuff. Jesse's a part of that, and Liquid Loans. So yeah, what you're talking about, Maddie, a lot of people starting their own tokens. It's because they've had to wait a year for PulseChain to launch, and a lot of these people have time, brains, and money, and decided, hey, this is a great opportunity to have my own token. You know what I mean? So it kind of makes sense. And the more stuff that launches on the PulseChain, the cooler it's going to look, because it's just there's already an ecosystem on something that doesn't exist yet. I think that's crazy. Love.io left the Love token. I sacrifice for internet dividend is actually, yeah, it's going on PulseChain. I know I'm going to forget some. I've really just tried to spread out, and oh my God. Okay. Holy cow.
That's a lot of projects.
Oh, Pulse First. Yeah, I was in there. Win-win. And oh yeah, there's a Texas token. And there's Helgo. Yes. Oh my God. I don't see Texas.
God, Helgo.
Helgo.
I sacrificed for Texas token personally.
Yeah, I did
should
too.
say I donated.
You did too? Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. I did too. Yeah, it's gonna be like I donated so many of these tokens. I'm just gonna post launch. I'm just gonna look at my wallets and be like, oh, I did get this. It is gonna come in, but you know, there's a lot of cool stuff on the PulseChain. Some of it's more meme-ish. Others are you know, that I know Win-Win's going to be sort of like a lottery token. I know they were on with Class, the stream, talked to them. There's a lot of stuff. What a list of tokens on a chain that doesn't exist yet. That's amazing.
I know, right?
How bullish for Pulse. It's nuts. So it kind of has to happen, or it didn't have to happen to that extent. But in a way, maybe it's good that we did wait a year, at least a year, for launch, for all these people to go, you know what? Especially Jesse, too, being a part of, like, he's just an example of, like, yeah, I'm going to found something, and then I'll be part of something else. And there's so many opportunities here when you can think about what's needed on a chain, what would be good on Ethereum if the gas fees were lower. There's a lot of ideas. There are a lot of things that you could do, and people just went and did it. Now, like almost everybody we know has a token or project. Now Maddie has one. We got to hear about what that is. Conrad Zen has one. I got it. I still don't know about that one. I have to. I'm totally willing to learn about. But
and one of the things I think Jesse is doing with Power City is it's like a bridge, but it does swaps.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I keep calling them Watt City too. It's awful, but they're Power City.
Yeah. Power City. Yeah. Watt is one of the tokens, right? That's kind of like Like a maxi where you put your hex in and then it does a big stake, right?
Maxi, there's another one.
Yep. And they're coming out with 5 new coins soon.
Yeah, oh Lord. Pulse Doge. Pulse Doge. You can stake Pulse Doge. You can stake it and get paid out in
Bitcoin.
Pulse Bitcoin. But then I think they're going to have a copy on the Ethereum side. So you're going to have Ethereum Pulse Bitcoin, which I think is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. But I think that might happen. We could get one sock for something.
Do we know the details on that yet? Or is it still hush hush?
For which one?
For Pulse, for the Pulse Dogecoin being able to stake to mine Pulse Bitcoin.
Last I heard, they're thinking about it and thinking about how they're going to do it. I don't think that functionality exists yet, but it's been a couple of weeks, so I don't know.
I'm already tired of like the dog coins. Like,
oh yeah, I know.
I have to force myself to like hold on to some of my Pulse Doge, but
you know what? People are gonna come over on the Pulse chain and look for the dog coin. They really are.
Sure,
they are. They're gonna look for.
I think lots of stuff is gonna do well, like especially stuff that's already out, and we can see like how it's performing now, and kind of just make our calls, right? Because it's kind of a function of what the product market fit is, and so. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be fascinating to look back on these streams and to see like what all of our predictions were and what surprises are gonna come in terms of like how RH products are gonna perform compared to all these other ones.
I hope so. Yeah. What did I miss, you guys? I'm sure I know some about. There's no way I talked about them all. I mean, I've sacked to whatever I could. Honestly,
like,
even if it's
like
a little
the
bit.
new ones, like I did a video on the Pulse Zen, like as soon as
I'm in the dark on that, but I'll do my own research. But I know Conrad's.
It's a weird story, like because I was there live. It just so happened I had my phone in my hand. I'm on YouTube. All of a sudden, Conrad starts streaming. Great, I like Conrad. Conrad's
I love
cool.
his streams.
Yeah, Conrad's fun. I love Conrad, a good guy. And all of a sudden, he's like, "Hey guys, I got my own coin. It's live right now." And he's like, "Literally right now. Go to Uniswap and look." And it's like, "Holy shit! It just started 5 minutes ago." Like, bye. And like, it's just boom, green candles. And he talked about it.
Oh, I missed it. Damn it.
There's problems though. It's not perfect. There's some serious problems. Like it has admin keys, so it can be changed. It's not immutable. So those are big no-nos. All the coins were basically there's a fee when you buy and when you sell. There's 2%, and that gets redistributed to all the other holders of the coin. So, long story short, I got into a video on it. I made a video on it. There was a bug. You can't sell it on Uniswap version 3 because of the way those fees work. So when it first came out, people thought it was a honeypot. They thought it was a scam because it was literally only buys on the chart. But then once the liquidity moved to Uniswap version 2, then it started working and people could buy and sell and you could actually see it.
Oh, okay.
But I read the smart contract, and it's a fork of a fork. It's a clone of SafeMoon, which is a clone of Proof of Weak Hands. And like all the comments and all the notes were there in the smart contract, right on Etherscan. It was like they didn't even clean it up. Like they didn't even remove the old guy's notes and oh, make sure you do this and make sure you do that. And here's the PancakeSwap address. But it's like, that's not PancakeSwap. That's Uniswap. Like this is all wrong. So it was just a hot mess. And it's really kind of sad. So it's not a scam, but it's not innovative or new. It's just
I will give the other side. I will give the other side of the argument. So this is the one that I'm bullish on, although I'm focusing on HEX. But I've gotten a lot of free money. I've gotten Hedron, I've gotten Pulse Dogecoin. Like free money has been raining on me. Okay, so I took a little bit of my free money and I put it with Conrad because
You bought the
I
Zen.
think because I think because I think Icosa is like pretty like it's like everybody's expecting a lot from it and it's super complicated, which like that could be a good thing, I think. But I don't know how that's gonna play. But what I know is that when a coin launches and like it sucks and it looks like it's screwed up, that can be kind of one of the that can be a major signal that like people are going to misprice it. And so Conrad is like one of the only people that I know who's like at the level of wealth that Richard was probably at when he launched HEX, right? And so for me, that's one ingredient where like, all right, I'm basically acting like I'm going to lose this money, right? I'm not putting in money that I can't afford to lose. Like I'm, 99.9% in HEX. But like, if I want to let that little 0.1% ride, like I want to let it ride on something that everybody is super negative on. And I mean, the ability, because I was also interested in like how it works, because you can watch your wallet in MetaMask and the number goes up like periodically. That's because you're getting paid out from all the people who are buying and selling. And so
and
that
transferring
2%, the 2% that is going whenever you buy or sell, like you are getting a little bit of that back. And I think like in general, like reflection tokens and like buy and sell taxes are a bad thing. But we're not talking about the 10% that SafeMoon and that all these other protocols take. There is also a small percentage of that fee that goes to a charity, which I think is cool. It goes to a charity fund. And again, like my angle on this, and like, I'm not saying I'm going to buy more. I'm not saying I'm not going to sell. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to do with this, but I love the fact that it's Conrad Zen and everybody hates it. Like that's my play.
That's a psychologist talking too, guys. That might
Fair
be an
enough.
opportunity. I see what
Yeah,
you're
and
talking about, Maddie, when it's
I respect
actually
that.
undervalued.
I mean,
yeah.
the logo was so bad. I had to assume it was
and the white paper,
intentional.
it was bad.
I mean, you can go back. There is a almost missed like gem of when Richard was talking to Hexologist on Hexologist channel in the early days. And Richard said, "Of course I made the website look bad." He said, "That's what some of these venture capitalist people look for. It's like a secret signal because they want to be early on a project. And so if you let the venture capitalist people think that they're early and then they're pleasantly surprised, but they flood in and then other people can, like flood in and stuff after them because they're incentivized to promote it. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here. I have no idea. It could be that, Conrad Zen, like it could be that he lost all his money trading or, I haven't done an audit. I haven't sent the Tether people over to his house to like look in his bank accounts and stuff. But I just think if I'm gonna do a contrarian trade, that's gonna be it.
Yeah, and that's a good one. I can totally respect that because I'll tell you what, if you were there when he did that live stream, if you bought right then in that first hour or even the next like 4 hours after that, you made a bunch of money. I'm not gonna lie, it already like 4 or 10x. So and then you could have just sold some of what you had, got all your original money back, and just let the rest ride for free. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I get that's what Conrad's doing too. I don't think it's a scam, but he like bought a boilerplate template like copy of another coin, and I mean, I just wish it was more.
It could go either way.
Like I wish I had a little more like something going on, Like I expected a little more.
Do you think he's gonna fix it though?
No, because he says everything's fine on his Twitter. He's like, "Oh, it's working as intended." It's like, bro, it doesn't even work when you just want V3. Like, come on. Like,
so, but I like that because then you have double-sided liquidity, and then the liquidity acts a little bit differently. So from a tech, like,
true.
but the thing that looks the worst is leaving the to-do list at the bottom of the contract code. So like that's the one where I'm like, maybe I'm wrong.
Right.
But you know,
like, oof. But if he's going for that underdog look, I mean, it's got it.
That would be a really sly move. Like
it's just like it's so sketchy, yo. Like
it could go either way.
Like, yeah. Because Conrad, like, I don't think he's pulling a fast one, but you do it. There are admin keys, and he has all the coins. He minted them, and then he put a bunch into liquidity to let people start selling. It was his money to start selling it, right? So he didn't airdrop it, but he didn't have a sack. So it's like,
then why is like the top holder? So the top holder list is all people who bought from him. Because there's tons of accounts that have like $1.5 million in between. Like
I did a little bit of chain analysis. Another one of those million accounts is Conrad. That came from the original wallet. You have to look at like the spawning of the coins, and then
okay.
I haven't done full chain analysis. I only looked a little bit during the beginning, and it was clear that whoever minted the original coins made the liquidity pool.
That makes me so what percentage do you want Conrad to own, and what percentage do you want people who aren't already 100 millionaires or billionaires to hold? Because that's the play. It's like that's the thing that's good about this. Sure, it's a copy paste, but the thing that's different is every other person who would come along and copy paste wants to get rich because they didn't already get rich off crypto. Like that's the thing that Richard had that nobody else had. Plus, Richard had probably like 2 Nobel Prize worthy like innovations in the actual code. But what would it have been like if Richard had launched not needing to profit himself, but also not having like the perfect game theory of HEX? Like that's what I want to find out. So whether I like sell on a 2x or whether I sell 50% down or whatever I do on my on my trade, like I'm going to be watching that one just to try to better understand, like, here's somebody I've been watching for 2 years who like, seems to be driving, he seems to be showing off his Rolls Royce that he custom made changes to. And, he was early in HEX, assumed to be a whale and everything, was early into Bitcoin so much that he was on the Bitcoin Foundation. So, yeah.
That's an underdog, man. If you like underdogs, there's one right there for you. That's for sure.
All
man.
I can say 100%. Is if I saw that stream, I would have been like, yeah, I'm buying. But I didn't.
Yeah, it was so bullish.
Really?
Like it was crazy.
I would have done it. Oh yeah. Conrad's on here.
You would have bought on the bad news?
No, I just would have bought it right when he's like, I got a token. Like, yeah.
A lot of people did. A lot of Hexkins did. I was getting tons of messages. People were like, oh my God, I can't sell it. What is this? They were freaking out. I was in Pulse Police. Like, that kept me up all night. I couldn't stop thinking about it.
I saw a Twitter apology from him, like just randomly, because I take breaks off of this stuff, right? But sometimes I come back, I'm sorry. Like, what are you sorry for, Conrad? Is there a token? Like, oh, you have a token. Oh, something happened. Oh, Lord. Okay, I got to look more into your token. And I didn't even know what it was called. PulseChain. I will. I'll do my research. I'll probably get some.
I will be curious to see how it progresses over time, to see how let's call it a legit fee coin. Let's see how that goes.
I could just see him mentally culminating all like his project being like, what am I going to do to make this perfect? And he's just eating brunch around like a bunch of waterfalls. But that's all that's on his mind is like, oh my God, this false zen has got to be zen. And it's not zen right now. Like I'm spending all my time and money trying to make this project super happening. So I don't know. I kind of have some faith in it. This is not financial advice, but I'm probably going to get some pulse zen.
Yeah, but I think he spent $20 on it. I don't know, man.
You think? What'd you say?
I said I think he spent like $20 on it. I think he made it himself, like with the white paper. Oh,
you'd be surprised how much you could spend on something that made it mistakenly couldn't be sold on V3. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. Pulse zen.
Oh man.
Yes.
So we'll see. That's we'll
I
see how
love
it
me some
goes.
Conrad. Yeah.
Because there's already another tax related coin that I'm seeing now, which is sort of like a play on Hedron. I'm not going to name it tonight because I haven't done my due diligence on it. I literally saw the tweet tonight and read the website.
Ooh.
So I don't know. There's going to be a whole bunch of fee tokens, tax tokens coming. So we'll
Thank
see how
God.
they do. We'll see. I don't know
Good.
because they're not ideal for trading, right? Or transferring or storing your value. Because even if you send it to somebody, you'll lose 2%.
Or you could just get a loan on your stuff.
So
now, is that how PLS Zen works, or I thought it was just on swaps?
That's unclear. I think it's on transfer too. Yeah, but the documentation's fuzzy. Yeah.
I even I couldn't trade it on some places. It just didn't work.
It's broken, dude. It's broken, man.
But I got it to work on I eventually got it to work on one account.
Oh, jeez. Well, we'll see, man. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
That's the long shot. There you go.
Yeah.
And Richard called him out on Fresh and Fit. Richard was not happy. Richard had a DM between him and Conrad. And Richard's like, I don't really like what you're doing. And he unfollowed Conrad. And Conrad's been banished from the official RH community. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's, this is some ultra high risk stuff.
Well, hopefully what's broken gets fixed and stuff starts working and it isn't an issue. Because again, I haven't really looked into this other than seeing a tweet and hearing about what you guys are saying about it.
Yeah. Richard Hart officially says no.
Not pleased.
No, not pleased. Was not pleased with Conrad. It wasn't pleased with his answers, and because Richard, I guess, questioned him at a DM, and Conrad didn't have the answers Richard was looking for.
Oh no!
Probably because it has admin keys. They can edit the contract whenever they want. So
that's kind of.
That's just a security risk. What if Conrad's dev gets hacked, and then they get the keys, and then the whole thing breaks? That stinks. That's a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. That'll be a fun one to keep an eye on.
Yeah. I'll get a little bit of it. Yeah.
Can somebody explain ICOSA to me?
Well, yeah. And can we talk about more with Trayvon before?
Sure. Yeah.
Because all right. So similar to PulseChain, in the fact that this is called More. It's from Trayvon James. It's basically Bitcoin, but it's just an ERC20, and it is literally a stock ERC20 template. There is barely any changes that have been made. I did a video on that where I go through every line of code on that one especially, and it's plain vanilla. It's literally just an ERC20. There was 21 million in one of them, and Trayvon minted them all for himself, and he had them in his wallet, and now he's just handing them out. And that's it. So, if you want to pretend that, Trayvon is Satoshi from Bitcoin, then that is More. And if you're down with that, try it out, test your luck. But it doesn't have any features, no tax. It's just buy and hold. There's nothing right now. There's nothing. It doesn't do anything. It's just a regular plain vanilla coin. So we'll see what happens with that too. It's been trading in the $2, $1.50 range. Not much as far as the price goes, not much happening there. And then in the future, because I watch Trayvon almost daily while I'm at work for my news, I just kind of have him on in the background. And in the future, I no expectations, but I suspect Trayvon will make additional websites or smart contracts that somehow you can use your More, you can stake your More, and you get this or blah blah blah. I'm sure he'll come out with that kind of stuff too. But
cool, you can stake it.
He's hinted at that, but no expectations. So maybe he'll do something like that. But for now, it's just a plain old boring coin. So, but he's giving it out. If you just go to his YouTube, hit him up in the comments. He drops you a couple. It's whatever. It's kind of fun. Much less risk there. I don't use any admin keys. You can't be edited. It can't be changed. It's just here are the coins, and he's Satoshi. Enjoy.
Sometimes you never know. You roll the dice on a coin that may seem boring, but it has some future You know, people wanting to add more features in the future, or like a website design that's janky, and venture capital is like, ooh, I could see, like what Maddie Allen was saying, something that could be a little more fully fledged later, but in the meantime, you already have the amount of tokens. That's a hard one. That's a see the future of the functionality rather than just the future of the price and the chart. That's like a little bit more of 5D chess, I would say, perhaps 4D chess. Like gambling, not gambling, but investing in possible future functionality, right?
Oh yeah. Well, we know about
There you
that around
go.
here. All the sacrifices some of us have done, for sure. We know about that. We're buying the future and hoping for the
My
best.
speech shirt is free now. I got a lot of free speech going on.
That's right. I may
whatever
not
I
have all
want
my
now.
HEX anymore, but I got a lot of freedom of speech. I want a t-shirt that says that now.
Do it. Come on, Hex merch. Make that. Make it.
I mean, so I think the strengths of the More token are, first of all, the brand name is awesome. I think it's like a meme in and of itself. It's like, you know, a different angle than just another dog coin. But, you know, you can, if you hold More tokens, you can call yourself a moron. Right? So
Yay!
that's clever.
I've always wanted to do that.
So that's fun.
Thank God.
Right? I think that it has a low risk of being considered a security, not just because of the meme angle, but also because of the launch method. It's like Travon minted the coins for himself. Now he's giving them away. You know, like, that's pretty clean, legal, like all this other stuff. If you have a sacrifice, you're falling definitely into the gray zone. But we'll have to see how that plays out. Probably there's going to be somebody who does a big sacrifice that like runs away with the money, and then they'll be the one to get made an example of, compared to like all the people who are trying to do honest things. So that's my take there, is like, it's a strength of the More token that it's been launched in a obviously super legal way. I think from a game theory perspective, though, I was a little bit surprised. Maybe I'm not the best like observer, but for me, it kind of felt like I don't see the compelling use case really, and I just made an argument that like not seeing something like that is like could be bullish. You know, it like increases the risk reward scenario, and like Travon has been publicly creating content more frequently and for twice as long as, let's say, Conrad Zen. So Travon is like, you know, he's put in more hours, and he's, you know, built up his community, I guess, publicly in a way. Well, I don't really know how long Conrad Zen was public in the Bitcoin. I mean, if he was on the foundation, maybe that's a bad example, but
yeah, but
for me, you know,
I never saw any videos of Conrad and the foundation way back in the day, but we all know, everybody knows who Trayvon James is if you're around in 2016, 2017. So, you know, there is a level of infamy, let's call it.
Yes. And so that could, you know, concentrate the people who want to buy the coins on the open market, and the people who he gives them to, like that could create the right set of holders. I think, like I said last week, I was a little bit surprised that he did like a gotcha with the free claim button, only adding the token to your wallet instead of actually allowing you to free claim anything. It was like, that's how that works, right? This is like LOL, which might be part of the meme, you know, like perspective too.
That is part of it. Because if you're in his community and you watch his videos, you would have known that in order to get the real airdrop, you had to put in like HEX into Toucan Air during a certain time window. That was the actual, like, it was sort of like a sacrifice, kind of. Like, and then that's how. So if you look at the wallets and you go on Etherscan, you look at the guys that got like 10,000 more, like 15,000 more. Those guys put HEX into Toucan Air. That's how they got that.
Oh, okay. So that is a different distribution model than I was aware of. Okay, cool. I learned something.
Yep.
So how much is he keeping for himself, and how do we know if he sells any coins and all that kind of stuff?
Well, it's Trayvon is Satoshi, so I wouldn't expect any of those kinds of answers. Would he dump someday? Probably. I mean, like, so, you know, like, yeah, it is what it is, you know.
Cool.
But that being said, I mean, and to give Trayvon credit though, if he ever does watch this though, like, I mean, he does have a lot of other coins. He's quite successful. He is a Hexican. He has a lot of hex. So I don't, you know, even for his own name brand to kind of follow in Richard's footsteps, I don't think he would sell more tokens for quite some time. I bet there's other coins Trayvon would rather sell for his own personal finances long before he ever touched his more. So I personally would consider it a low risk. And I only have so many coins that are like, it's just play. You know, he sent me like 500 or whatever. I'm never going to sell them. They're just going to sit in my wallet. It's more like a trophy. It's more like Trayvon gave me some coins, man. That's cool, dude. Like, he's a legend. That guy's old school. So, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that take. That's a good one.
That's the only reason I like it. And I like his content. I think he's a funny guy. So it's, you know, it's more funny than anything.
I don't know if this is bad advice. You guys could tell me if it is, but I think overall, especially with the people in the Telegram that are on there 24/7, the people on Twitter that have been here 5 or more years that post every day, and then they have a token. A lot of them, not that their entire social life or personal identity is wrapped up in crypto, but some people kind of are, right? And that it might be less about personal money and more about the glory. I guess Richard Hart's one of those guys, right? I could see some of these people whose life, money or not, right, will be obsessed with crypto and trying to help people out, and that's their identity. I find it harder to believe that they would just completely dump on everyone and disappear and go play basketball with their free time. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's a bad way to judge, because technically some sociopath could come on, pretend to be a part of a community for a year, realize they could make $1 million and bail, and pretend to have fun and make friends and talk to people on Telegram every single day. But I think that's probably less likely to happen. It's more likely that something could accidentally happen to their token, or there's a game theory they didn't think about, or something, and it crashes. They didn't do marketing, or it's their first project. But as far as who's going to rug people on purpose, probably not the people that you've seen for years, days in a row on the chats. Maybe, but I give them a little bit of a hope your project does well bonus, you know? I don't know. It's just the way I see it. And with Trayvon James, he's making all these, like, he's just been such a big part of the community, right? Like, of crypto and everything, where it's like, is he going to dump? He could. I mean, he's going to go dump some, probably, you know. But we're not the person. We don't know. But if your identity becomes crypto founder and you're really trying to be that person, then you don't want to dump on people. That maybe that glory is more important than the money, and that personal. I don't want to give people that advice though, because it could be, Hodpril said that somebody was trustworthy because I've seen him every day on the chat. Like, no, that's not necessarily good. But you know what I mean? When someone's just that active, tend to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I know exactly what you mean.
Conrad
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. I don't know.
I mean, if we look at outside of the HEX community, where people are not staked, they are not like all working together to some degree for 15 years, who did not get incredibly wealthy, all in a short time span if they time locked. Like a lot of people, I think in crypto, they feel like they missed out or got, they got kind of screwed one way or another. Like, so I think that people might have. I mean, I think the number of coins that perform poorly proves that most founders are either like dishonest or that they all have good intentions, and it's the money and the incentives that corrupts them. It's like if you collect money before you have a finished product and what you have is a promise coin, then like that's fun to dream about. But in reality, I think most people, for one reason or another, I mean, sometimes it's just your dev is charging like 10x what they should and not really doing all that much work, and it's hard. There's like a shortage of devs. I think that's why we're seeing a bunch of coins created that are being created now. Is like, I mean, that's another like indicator to look at in a bear market to see like where you're at. It's like how many coins are getting built because the price of devs came down, right? Because all the projects are running out of money.
That's how Snow White was made. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs would have never been made if it wasn't during the Depression when the artists couldn't get paid cheap. A lot of artistic masterpieces throughout time have been during bear markets in their respective realms.
Wow.
So yeah, there could be some truth to that.
I would love for us to be able to have some of these people on who are creating these new experiments and to, just get more information on these things, because right now it's like very speculative and,
because this PulseChain isn't even out yet too.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Well, we have the testnet.
Yeah. We do have testnet, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you want us to talk about ICOSA real quick?
Break it down.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So at a real high level, what Alex has done now is it's sort of an expansion pack. It's like an add-on to Hedron. So you have hex stakes and you get to mint Hedron for basically free every day. It costs you a little bit of gas. And now you have these Hedron coins. Well, now what you can do is you can go to the ICOSA website and you can stake that Hedron and lock it up. And every day you're mining ICOSA. And so that's the main function. Then the next function is then you can take ICOSA and you can stake that. And then every day you get paid because by staking ICOSA, you earn more ICOSA and more Hedron. So you're mining that. And then
where does the more Hedron come from?
So it depends on which pool, but I believe the Hedron comes from any burnt Hedron through the auction house, or if the source address of Hedron, which they did a couple days before ICOSA, they burnt 1 trillion coins. So Hedron burns basically pay out if you're staking ICOSA, you get Hedron. And then ICOSA itself, the mining is, I forget the formula. It's the amount of burnt Hedron divided by the TShare rate. And that kind of is so that's the math behind how much ICOSA gets created every day. And then it's just split out to the people in the pool. Kind of like HEX. The more shares you have, the more you get. So that's really where it comes from, basically.
I didn't know that.
So in this case, you're not exactly burning Hedron in the sense that you're destroying it, but there were 1 trillion coins that were allocated to mining. Because like hex coins are burnt when you turn them into TShares, and then you can mint that amount, your principal plus the interest. So like that's different than most burning protocols, which just like reduce the circulating supply, never to be increased again. And so that's why I'm trying to wrap my head around like what you're saying when it comes to these burnt hedron are coming back. That seems weird, but okay. So it ratchets, so it pays out. So the hedron is the numerator that gets paid out. So you stake hedron to earn more hedron.
If you stake hedron, you only get ICOSA. And the ICOSA is calculated by the amount of burden hedron divided by TShare rate.
The amount of hedron that I'm staking is what you're calling burned, or
no,
the
no,
amount that's like in a pool that is basically like a liquidity pool.
No, like actually burnt hedron. Like if you bought an HSI at the auction house that was up for liquidation, like one of the, like that burns the hedron. It literally deletes the hedron if you win the auction. So whatever that number is at the end of the day, divided by the TShare rate for the day, so like 29,000.
So really, how does the hedron get burnt when you create an HSI?
When you buy an HSI off the auction house.
Okay, so how did the HSIs get created in the first place?
Like people stake their HEX. It's a HEX stake.
So how does, so you stake your HEX to create an HSI, and then you get hedron built up in that. So how does that go into an auction house?
So what you can do is with your HSI, you can, like they call it like borrowing. It's like taking out a loan.
Borrow against it.
Yeah, you can like pre-mine all of the hedron over the life of that HEX stake, and it gives it to you right now, all the hedron. And in return, you have to pay 30-day fees, or like a loan. You got to pay back the loan every 30 days. If you don't pay your loan after 3 months, your HEX stake gets taken away from you and goes to the auction house. Yeah.
Okay.
And then people go to the auction house, like me and you can go there on the website, and you can see, oh look, there's that guy's HEX stake. He didn't pay it. It's up for sale, and you have to buy it with hedron. And then the winner, let's say you win the bid. It was like it cost you 1 billion hedron, and now you get the HEX stake, and that 1 billion hedron that you just won it with, that gets burnt and deleted.
Oh, and that gets paid out to the ICOSA stakers.
Yeah, and then so if it was 1 billion hedron burnt divided by the TShare price, poof, that ICOSA gets inflated out of thin air and given to the hedron stakers.
I've seen some of these HSI stakes sold on OpenSea.
It's been quite a bit of volume. Yep,
so what would be the difference between that and an auction of the HSI? So
the people on the OpenSea, they made the HEX stake.
Yeah.
And then they turned it into an NFT. Yeah, they encapsulated it, turned into an NFT, and then they put it on OpenSea and they sold it, and somebody else bought it, and they literally gave it to somebody else for Ethereum or US dollar coins, and sold it.
There's a game theory right there, Hexagon.
Yeah.
I don't know if I just gave out like a secret thing.
Oh no, it's not secret. There's been a bunch of them bought and sold on OpenSea. There's a ton.
But with the auction, you'd also similarly, I guess, buy liquidated loan HSIs. Basically, is what that is.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that could be a bear market good move. Lord of mercy.
And then part of this ICOSA coins, just for the first 30 days, because the longest, or the shortest hedron stake, you got to wait 30 days. So nobody's going to get any ICOSA from staking hedron for 30 days. Right now, the only way to get ICOSA is to literally give up one of your HSI stakes.
Ooh,
and
really?
you feed it into the ICOSA contract, and then you get ICOSA right now.
That's bullish for HEX, kind of, right?
Totally. And then what the ICOSA contract does is it borrows all that hedron, it pays it out to the ICOSA stakers, and then it sends that hex stake to the auction house. So in 88 days from right now, on the Hedron website, there will be over 2,000 hex stakes for sale that can be purchased only using Hedron. And there's a lot of them, like, I mean, juicy ones. They're huge, like 100 shares, like there's thousands of hex stakes. So ICOSA has really kickstarted that whole auction house now. So that's coming, what is it, November 14th? November 14th.
Oh yeah, then you can vote right after that.
Yep. So
that's I wrap my head around it right now. That's a structure.
Yeah.
It's a structure, guys.
So that's what Alex was trying to build now that ICOSA is finished, is like, it's this kind of feedback mechanism where people are incentivized to make hex stakes, and then you could sell it for ICOSA if you want, or you could trade them and get rid of them. But the intent is to just keep locking up hex. We'll see how the price does. It's brand new though. I expect as ICOSA, because you can just get ICOSA just by minting Hedron, and you get Hedron for free. So eventually, as time goes on, people, ICOSA is just going to inflate. There's just going to be more and more and more of it. So
right now you can only get ICOSA. Right now you can only get ICOSA by making an encapsulated HSI and giving that. Is there some sort of sacrifice? Like, how do you actually do that?
You basically, on the website, it lets you do it, and you basically are sacrificing your hex stake.
Yeah,
you're pretty much giving it up.
Sacrificing an encapsulated hex.
The other way to get ICOSA right now is on Uniswap, so you can go buy ICOSA.
Oh, okay.
Because people already sold their hex stakes, and they have ICOSA, and now they're selling that ICOSA on Uniswap. So that's another way to get it. So you don't have to give up a hex stake. You can just buy it. So I don't know what the price of that coin is going to do over time, though. It's going to be hard to predict based on the inflation rate, which is dependent on how many people stake. So I don't know. It might go down to the rate forever if it just keeps minting and minting and minting, and more people stake and more people make it and more people print it and more people sell it.
Well, you can mint Hedron from an ICOSA stake, but you can also mint Hedron from a hex stake.
Correct. Exactly.
So then you have to make an executive decision on which you would rather stake to get your Hedron. Although they're different amounts, though. You
could do them all. So I'm doing them all now. So I've got hex stakes. I've got regular hex stakes. I've got HSI encapsulated hex stakes. I am staking Hedron, and I am staking ICOSA.
But the ICOSA is paid off by burnt Hedron over TShare is the rate.
I think that's how it's calculated. How much is minted every day.
Yeah,
that's like the inflation.
Payout.
And then for the next 12 days only, this is like a limited time thing.
Now?
Yeah, like right now. There's only 12 days left. You can buy an NFT that will mine ICOSA inside of it, but you only get that ICOSA when you burn the NFT and like pop it. So it's kind of like a one-time. It's kind of like it's like an ASIC.
That's
miner,
like a sacrifice-ish.
like a piggy bank.
But kind of like a Made in Abyss anime where you have to go and do some mythical stuff and pop an egg. But it's still it's still a sacrifice-ish. Right.
Sort of, yeah. And that gets you into a pool.
Bullish.
And because your NFT will mines you ICOSA every day.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody else burns theirs and they take their ICOSA and they crack open the little piggy bank, well, that means the next day you're going to get more because they popped theirs. You have more shares now, just like Hex. Now you got more TShares because they gave up their TShares. Only 14 days to make these NFTs. So after 2 weeks from now, that's it. There's no more ever made. It's done. So they only get more rare with time. So
that's
that
fascinating.
That's like new.
Brain,
yeah.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
That's an interesting one. I've never seen anything like this before, where that's an NFT that mines coins until you kill the NFT. Very interesting. So that's pretty cool too. And right now the APY, like the first day's APY, which came out last night, was like, I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it wasn't triple digit, but it was double digit APY for one day. So like this, if you bought one of those NFTs, if the APY is the same, it like doesn't change after the next like couple of weeks, like it'll pay for itself in like a couple of weeks. You'll get all your money back, and then every day it's just gravy after that. So
I've taken like 2 weeks to do visual AI research, and I should have just stayed. There's so much been happening the last 2 weeks. Apparently, I'm just missing a bunch of stuff. At least I'm not missing Matty Allen's project that he's making. Thank God.
Speaking of which, man, that has been the longest cliffhanger ever that you.
It's been on the back of my mind.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead, Matty? We would love to hear more about what you're doing.
There's really not a whole lot I can say, but it's like, yeah, it's really exciting. I can say, yeah, so I can say I ran part of the idea by RH, and he was like really cool with it. So that's a good sign.
It's a really good sign.
That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
And a lot of the design parameters are still being optimized, but it so like there's like 2 or 3 functions that it does, and it's more of like a utility than anything. It's not like a meme coin or something. It's I think that it will be really helpful for people. But the part that I can, I guess, like hint at now is that I think that we've found a way to make wallets more secure. And so there's like, yeah, so because it's like a security thing, I want to make sure I get it right before I leak any details. But that's like, if you're trying to think like, what category is Matty building in? Like, is it a meme coin? Is it a shit coin? Is it something to pump and dump? Is it, something that's going to interfere with our ecosystem? None of that, right? This is something that I think will significantly enhance the security of cryptocurrency, and that I also want it to benefit HEX in some way. So that's all I can say at this time. But I think that it's really exciting because I've done my homework, and I've reached the level where it's there's an ability to create now, and I want to be careful that it doesn't become like just some self-serving thing. I really want it to be a net positive for the community. We'll see.
Wow. I think that leaves us all with more questions than we have answers, but that's,
I know. We're going to have to try to reverse engineer all of his words.
I mean, process of elimination. I just eliminated a lot of stuff, right? So.
You did.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
No, that's cool. Thank you for the hint for like wallet security area. That's cool.
I mean, this is something where if people are going to, if the average person is going to want to create 15-year stakes, they're going to have to be like, I think crypto security sucks. I think that it's way too easy to get phished. It's way too easy. It's hard to onboard people because it's so unsafe. Like,
people are scared because of all of the stuff happening in crypto now too.
Yeah.
With security issues. I'm like, it's hard to onboard people, and that Celsius and Three Arrows and everything. Or Luna too. Well, so it's not just a centralized exchange thing.
The protocol and the methods that we're combining, I think, will make it so that it could shift the balance from it being smarter for a newbie to hold with an institution to they could have the security, and the peace of mind to be able to self-custody. And that, that's going to cut out all of this, this fractional reserve stuff that was the cost. I mean, that's why we had a blow off top and then a crash, is because people were lying about the deposits that they took and gambling with billions of dollars that were not being accounted for in a system that has the ability to have transparency. It's like the price you pay to have the security of holding on a centralized exchange is that they don't even tell you that they don't even prove that they're holding the coins that you deposited with them. Like, crypto solves this, but you know, that's how much of a price people are willing to pay for security, is that they could lose everything. And you know, Coinbase hasn't had problems yet, and like, you know, people think that they're not going to be the headliner, that they're not going to be the next, you know, the next, and everybody like wants to get rich so bad, you know, and they want to get rid of the legacy system so bad and like participate in something new, but there are too many traps in place. Like, even if you pick the right crypto, like I think that we have a very crude system right now for believing that our 10 and 15-year stakes will be secure, just because like if there is a massive failure of MetaMask, like the entire crypto blockchain can do a consensus, an emergency consensus thing that would probably like either give us one thing that everybody agrees on, or two things that add up to what everybody agrees on, right? Like we saw with Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core, like we saw with Ethereum Classic and Ethereum. Like, those were situations where the blockchain broke, and even in that worst case scenario where the blockchain breaks, it got restarted, it got fixed. You know, like that's not ideal, but you know, so that's what gives me confidence to, even with this crude system that we have now, what gives me confidence to be able to make a long-term play in crypto, especially because that's literally what causes something to have value, is being able to time lock it with HEX. Like, that's a unique value proposition that it has 100% overlap with the actual function of money that crypto is trying to emulate, now that they realize that store of value is better than you know, a unit of account or a medium of exchange. And so I really think like security is the area where it's not like profitable, it's not sexy, it's like just, but it's like, that's one of the things that's wrong with crypto right now. And it doesn't, I don't think it interferes with the use case of HEX. I think it actually enhances it, because if people can't trust even themselves to hold on to their coins, then how are we going to get them to take self-custody and to time lock? So it's funny how when you have enough aha moments and have enough like technical expertise, you know, it's been from learning from Richard, from Steph, and you know, you two, and all the HEX streamers and all the technical people out there, even Andreas Antonopoulos. Like, how do you think I learned how to you know, take a private key and turn it into 12 words and turn it into 50 characters, and you know, do all this like conceptualizing of what is it that we're at, like, how does the blockchain actually work? You take your private key, and that allows you to create like a public key that creates a public address, and then you better not give out your seed words, you know, but building mechanisms in place. All right, here's the biggest clue I'll give you. I'm fairly certain that we may have found a method to like be able to steal your funds back from a hacker using smart contracts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like, I would say it's a pretty big game changer. But
what about people who've already been hacked? Is that backwards compatible, or no? Just
no.
Here on. Oh, okay. Okay. But yeah, that's great. That would be fantastic. And I know Richard is going to he's working on a wallet, as far as I know, right? Working on his own wallet project. Is that, and you did talk to Richard, so is that compatible with that project, or is it kind of something different? You know what I mean? Is that going to work with that project?
The part that I talked to Richard about was the other part that I can't talk about yet.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
And I actually
No,
I didn't discuss. So I didn't discuss like the security angle actually, because that kind of, we figured it out once we were breaking down the other thing. It was like, wait a second, what? Like, you know, because if you, so without like giving away too much, like I'll be able to explain it better once we know exactly how it has to work and have worked out all the angles, you know, to make sure it, but I mean, it's not that hard. Like, I don't have much doubt, I guess what I'm saying, that like, you know, when you really get into the complexities of how stakes get created and how addresses get created and how private keys and everything work, there's a lot of protections that can be built in that are exciting. It's like, wow, I can't, you know, like Gnosis Safe is got some good ideas, stuff that Steph has talked about, you know, is that really hasn't come out yet, right? It's like there's like, you know, different dimensions of social recovery and that kind of stuff, but
from Gnosis Safe?
Well, yeah.
Oh.
I'll just say like, yeah, it's all these concepts really are, you know, there are things that are possible that have not yet been implemented that seem within reach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, fascinating.
So.
Yeah, very. I would love to know more in the green room after.
Sure.
Maddie's gonna be like, nope.
That's
nope.
cool, man. That's cool. Like, yeah. I mean, you gave me, even I've had an idea that you really just triggered it right here where, you know, because what the hackers do to some people is they get control of a wallet, they got your keys, and then they set up a bot, and the bot will drain the wallet if the original user sends some ETH to it. So wouldn't it be cool if somebody made a website or a tool or a smart contract where you could put your like wallet in like safety mode, where even if you accidentally gave out your keys, if the hacker even tries to send Ethereum to your wallet to end your HEX stakes, it'll just take their ETH away from them, and it'll just send it to a different wallet you have as like a safety net. So something like that would be cool. Like, I don't know if that's what you're doing, Maddie, but like,
hopefully not.
Like, yeah, hopefully not. But like, but it's a cool idea.
Like,
actually,
you're starting to think like along the lines of like, there are a lot of cool things you can do when you identify, you know, when you dissect the process and then you reverse engineer, like, all right, what do we need in place to regain control? And, you know, a lot of this stuff, you know, this is why crypto was actually, that's part of the foundation is cryptography, right? And so, you know, cryptography, that's really, it's a method to establish ownership, privacy, you know, simple, like using codes to sit, like the 12 words that you have. BIP 39 is actually, it's a list of words that doesn't have any other words on it that you could confuse for those words. So they developed their own little like dictionary of only words that are not going to be easy to write down and then confuse with another word that could be in the set. So if you write down the word wrong, how most people would write it down wrong, you'll be able to later figure out what it was supposed to be. Like, you really only need the first 4 letters of each of your seed words in order to have 100% certainty as to what the word is using the master list. Anyway, so yeah, those 12 words actually create a cryptographic like code that is your private key. The 50 letters and numbers that, you know, that create the private key. And so instead of just having this big mess, this big long mess of letters and numbers that people would easily screw up, even though they're only even the letters within the addresses and the private keys, I think they're all, it's a truncated list, again, to prevent people from writing it down wrong. So there's this like super intense system that has been developed over like decades to even encode your private key to make it so that you can hopefully write it down and figure it out. But,
each of those words also has a corresponding number as well.
okay. Yeah.
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 In order. It's another way to store it. But...
yeah. Yeah. So when we when we get back to like the first principles and stuff, like Jack Levin, you know, he kind of brought that term back from the dead, but it's really like a Peter Thiel term, or probably goes back farther than that. But yeah, just this idea of like, what are we really supposed to be here for besides just getting rich? Because like some of us, you know, we've gotten rich, and now it's time to like make the next group of people rich, and like, you know, figure out better ways to do that so more people can win, because that's the game theory that we know works. Like if you want to onboard the world, fix the money, all that kind of stuff, if you're not true to your principles, you're going to just recreate the old banking system. You're going to do what Bitcoin did, which is like prove a bunch of cool things could happen and then like drift back into the old system, which might end up being part of the bridge that we need to create true DeFi, right? Because when people use the legacy financial system to convert dollars into Ethereum and Bitcoin and all that, that's what allows people to get into HEX in a way that's fully transparent and everything. So, you know, if we're becoming more long-term thinkers and, you know, wanting to really understand why more people aren't into it, I think that what the utility like functions that I'm trying to build are really going to target all that, you know, like because we need, well, I think we have the technology, we have the ability, now we just need to apply it.
Well, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, I would say originally was, I forgot the name of the guy who did the paper. It was his PhD, I believe. He was
Adam
a hacker. What was his name?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet.
Oh, I knew his name, but he was a hacker, and he was obsessed with security, and he devised this enveloping system for money in order to not be tracked by anybody. And I think this was in the 70s or 80s. And I'm trying to think of what that paper was. But originally, cryptocurrency...
You might be talking about Adam Back, who created smart contracts before Bitcoin.
This was pre-Bitcoin, though. This is the original...
It was before Bitcoin.
Was it? Okay, yeah, that's probably who it is. I don't know why the name escapes me. I talk about him quite a bit, but yeah, it was on a like different envelope. I think it was with cash.
Like codes and stuff.
It was before that. It was on trying to become untrackable, and that's kind of what cryptocurrency was based upon, or crypto. Trying to say the right. I have a total brain disappear right now, but yeah, crypto was originally founded on security, on not being tracked, not on just, you know, trading and making money, which it ended up being. But that's what it was originally founded upon, is that security issue, is really decentralization, due to the fact that you can't be tracked. that's what it was made for. I mean, that's what really Bitcoin was made for.
I think one of the designs that we have for security would improve privacy, which is cool because I think the main argument against privacy right now is that hackers can use it as a way to get away with the crime. But if we create a system that is much less, is much more resistant to hacking, then the government might not have such a problem with they might not have like an excuse to criticize privacy as much too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like at the end of the day, that is an important part of first principles of crypto, is like privacy, security, self-sovereignty.
Especially when you're staked for 15 years. When you're not moving, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. Yeah. Right on. Well, I'm excited to hear more about that, Maddie. I will stand by.
Yeah, me too.
The details of that.
Yeah. Hope it goes well.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's exciting times. So, well, we've been streaming for almost 3 hours. We've covered so much. Do you guys want to tell people where to find you?
Yeah. Twitter and YouTube, David Feeder. You know where to find me.
I'm Hodpril on Twitter and on Telegram. Well, I haven't checked my Telegram messages in a little bit, but you can find me on both Twitter or Telegram, Hodpril.
Awesome. And I've got both of their links in the description below. So go right now, hit the like and subscribe button here, and then go subscribe to David Feeder and Hodpril, or follow them on Twitter and all that good kind of stuff. Let's see, Game Theory Gang every Tuesday, Hex Therapy Live Thursdays. David, are you making any appearances?
Tomorrow night I'm doing hanging out with Corey Costa. That's all I've got on my calendar right now. Right
on. Well, that all sounds good. So stay safe out there, everybody. Don't gamble too much on meme coins and all that good kind of stuff, but try to have fun and relieve your boredom somehow. But until next time, everybody, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
Bye, Hexkins.